I'm here with Nolan, the Director of Research at CoinDesk at Consensus 2019, and I'm inviting you to join us as we have a conversation about what it's been like the last few days. Thanks for meeting with me.
Hey, my pleasure. Happy to always talk about the event that takes so much work to put on.
I can only imagine what it's like, but why don't we take a walk so people can kind of see what you and your team have put on here for Consensus. It's been amazing being here for me the last few days. I know 4,600 people have come to New York for Blockchain Week. And of course,
to this event. 4,600 to this event.
Oh, okay. Thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah, how many to Blockchain Week? I mean, we're just guessing, but if it's 4,600 here, a lot of people didn't come here. So, we're in the 6 to 7s by then.
That's amazing. Yeah. Okay, that's a big deal. Now, as the Director of Research, what's a win for you? Like, what makes you end today's conference and you say, mission accomplished, I'm really, really glad that we did that thing?
So I would say that if the event is able to reflect where the industry is at this time and place, May 15th, 2019, if the event is able to just do that, I think it's successful.
Yes.
But it is a complicated thing. The industry itself is growing so quickly and moving so fast that it's always a challenge to capture the subjects that are relevant today, the people that are pushing the envelope today, because it's such a big revolution and change that people contributed so much in 2015 and 2016, and then the industry changes, and some people leave for a bit and come back, and other people push new things, and it goes in that direction. So as long as we are accurately capturing the people that are pushing the narratives, that are pushing the industry, and are able to reflect that, then I think it's a good thing. If people leave this conference with a few ideas about where things are headed next year and the year after, I mean, long term, we've been successful.
Okay. And what is it for you that's been most encouraging or delightful? What's exceeded your expectation this year so far in the last 2.5 days for this event?
So I think that, last year's event was really on the sort of cusp of the big, I think in the history books when people talk about the bubble of 2017, I think it really will be from Consensus, not the calendar year 2017, but it'll be from Consensus 2017 to Consensus 2018.
Right, that was that 12-month window.
Yeah, and Consensus 2018 really was the end of that crazy era where early stage finance had really been changed. We all knew it had been changed. We had found this tool. I think what happened last year is people thought that was the end of the story. It's in fact just a small little thing that was done. Yeah. And now what we've seen is, when people talk about democratizing investment and finance, it's actually not just a thing where you push a button and it's democratized. Part of democratizing it is that all these people now have access to investing. All these people are actively investing and having fun doing it, and also learning.
And most for the first time.
Yeah, so the sophistication of people, like, you're not going to be able to just pump some, crazy idea any longer, because people lost money, and that's kind of a good thing in a way, because people realized the tool is there, it should be used, it's a great tool to use, but now let's use it efficiently. Let's have the buyers of this thing become more sophisticated and have to learn lessons about investing, because democratizing investing doesn't mean everybody wins.
No, that's absolutely not.
You learn how to do it.
That's right.
And more people are learning how to do it, so we're really excited about that.
Now,
and even to that, that whole early stage finance thing is still just one part. There's so much more than just raising money.
Of course, solving supply chain management, proving that art is what it is, the impact on games, the impact on governments, it goes on and on in terms of what's going to happen due to the distributed ledger technology, blockchain, crypto, all things in this industry.
And to see this stuff, so pervasive and growing here and there, and look, we're also in the world of cryptography, and cryptography does develop slower than video games.
Absolutely.
It's either bulletproof or not. So, seeing how people are really understanding that more. But the challenges of scaling this technology are not the same challenges of scaling Nintendo or the iPhone, or it's not quite the same thing.
No.
So far so good. People are understanding the space a lot more. They're understanding what the technology can do, and the growth curve of it a little better.
Yeah, I had people tell me on day 3, this place will be empty, there won't be a lot of people here. What's it like to walk through one of your expo halls, because you have multiple, and to see this much life? on a Wednesday afternoon. Because I mean, I didn't actually expect this to have so much life energy and all the things that we're seeing right now.
I would say that that's really a testament to the industry itself. I mean, this is, there is such a heartfelt following. If you go to any other, sometimes I go to conferences that aren't crypto conferences, and we sort of do like a 101 on crypto, and you can see that most people are there because it's their job. They were sent there. What you have, and then, so like a normal conference, you see that spirit being depleted at the end because, for God's sakes,
right?
This has been a tough couple of days at work. Here, you've got people who are almost religious about making this thing work.
Yes.
And so it's much easier to motivate people like that to be involved and to enjoy the content and the experience and meeting all these like-minded people.
Yeah.
So this, because of that spirit, the whole event takes on a bit more of a festival-like atmosphere. So as long as people keep meeting and coming, they'll keep showing up.
It's awesome.
We could probably add a day tomorrow and they'd show up again.
And they still keep coming. Now, one of the things that was really a courageous move on your team's part was the fact that you said, hey, let's do a digital swag bag this year.
I wouldn't say courageous.
You don't think so?
I would say that,
I mean, nobody's done it.
Sure.
You allowed Jody Rich and his team at NFT.cred to create something that hadn't really been done at a conference for 5,000 people. I think it's kind of a bold move.
So I'd say
I think it worked out well. Over 1,000 people, redeemed their tokens. So, but talk to me a bit about that.
So I'd say CoinDesk is in a weird position in that we created an event about an industry that was so immature that we weren't actually able to put the technology in people's hands. Some things are better. Show, don't tell. They say that in writing a lot. Show, don't tell.
Absolutely.
And we can't. If we would do another event where we just talked about NFTs, people get it. They get it. It's a baseball card. It's a whatever. We all understand. Collect stuff. We don't need to talk about it that much.
Right.
But if you don't put this stuff in people's hands, we have to quit it from being so abstract. And when we look at a lot of these other events in the space, they've been quite quick at adopting some of the tech to the experience of the event.
Right.
And in our mind, so you say it's courageous, a little bit of fear too, like if we don't do this and someone else does it and starts integrating the tech into the experience,
that's a good point.
You're actually going to lose in the long run.
That's a good point.
So I wouldn't say courageous, I would say slightly motivated by fear.
Okay.
If you don't have paranoia that someone is going to beat you, then you're going to get beaten.
I mean, I would say we can just stay right here. I would say, for me, and this is off the topic a little bit, but courage is just the response to fear.
Yeah. Okay. You're right. Yeah.
Because we all face fear and anxiety. And then either we back away from it out of insecurity, or we say, you know what, I'm just going to face it.
It's a race against your own insecurity.
That's true.
And so that's kind of what had us, putting this thing together. And frankly, when we see it from an event point of view, we see this as something that can go into mainstream events, and you wouldn't even, when people always talk about, well, we won't even know you're using crypto.
Right.
Well, NFTs are one of those things where you don't actually have to know. Who cares? It's a card, and now we know it's scarce, and then just do the thing you did when you had your normal Pokemon, or your baseball card, or so in our mind, we could see, one of the things I think that we did that was really interesting is driving traffic to these booths by saying, okay, you have a physical item.
Yes.
You don't want to anonymously give it in a bag, and maybe they'll, come see you later. Now
they have to come to your booth. They have to redeem it for the T-shirt, or the wallet, or the gold, or whatever it is that they're offering to you.
So way beyond our own event, we think this is a real use case for the technology, for events themselves. We could do events that have nothing to do with crypto, and they can integrate this technology today. I think it's ready for prime time today at events. We are indeed here, and we've learned about the moving parts, but so far so good.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the sponsors will be happy with it. From our end, the only thing that was different is that, and this was like an operational thing, I usually do content. I usually don't know what's going on by design. I don't know anything that's going on around here, so that I can make the right decisions for content. Not to be influenced by who and sponsored what. But this is a weird thing where sponsorship is now even part of content.
It is.
We saw the NFTs as a content play. This is we're putting content in their hands to understand the industry.
Right.
And so it was weird to see those two worlds that I knew nothing about. I really would never know anything about this side of the event.
Right.
And to see them come together like that was pretty interesting for me.
Yeah.
A little scary because it's like fire to me. You know, I can't touch it.
Right.
But to be near it and to see it integrate was a neat experience.
Yeah. Well, hey, let me ask this last question.
Sure.
So, and I'll frame it this way. You know, a lot of the information that's distributed through CoinDesk and others is kind of to the tribe, right? And then of course there's the outside that's like, what is all this? How do I make sense of it all? So let me ask you in kind of a really natural way. You sit down in a plane next to a chief of a Fortune 100 company, and you have a natural, and you're in a good mood, and you're energetic, you're good to talk, and what comes up is like, okay, so you're the director of research at CoinDesk. I'm a chief at a company that everybody knows the name of. Like, what should we be doing? Like, what's the move for 2019? What's the move for 2020? Like, help me understand as a chief of a Fortune 100 company, what's the next move for me as the leader?
So I would say that our sort of, macro narrative at CoinDesk is not, here's blockchains and here's cryptocurrency. Like, it's one level abstracted from that. Look at the historic trend that we're talking about, right? Cryptography was only used by state actors for war for thousands of years. At the end of World War II, it was understood how powerful it was, so it was actually counted as a munition. Like the technology itself was counted as a bullet for many years, and you were never able to commercially deploy it. Wow. There were finally innovations in cryptography from the private sector. Like, what I mean to say is there was no university course on this even in the 60s. Like, this was not to be taught, right? This was off limits. And so in the 1970s, as people understood the internet was coming, they had, private sector inventions like public key cryptography, which underlies all of the things we see here today.
Yeah.
And so when that was invented, what you saw was people said, oh, look at these people, they're too stupid to run their own cryptographic keys. And they were probably right. This was the 1980s. I mean, you couldn't just say, okay, well, we don't even know what the internet is, but here's a cryptographic key, go have at it. What are you talking about?
Right.
So corporations naturally came in and did the job for us, right? They managed our cryptography. So all these Fortune 100s ended up having a line of business that they were never that interested in, that they just had to get and was given to them.
Right.
Now manage people's cryptography. I would say to them, how many billions of dollars are you spending securing people's dogs' names and mother's maidens' name, all these crazy things that you're securing so that people can run this stuff for you? What are you doing? What does it cost you to run their cryptography for you?
Yeah.
What Bitcoin did and what all of this is about, in my mind, is the trickle down of cryptography and the cryptographic key to the individual. So it went from the state to the company to the individual.
Wow.
And their NFTs and their cards and their fun and their whatever you want, but it's a way to express consent on the internet that behaves like cash. You just do it and it's over. There's no dogs' names or mother's maiden names or any of that stuff.
Right.
So the message to them is get out of the business of running people's cryptography for them.
Yes.
Cryptography is going to the individual and they will use it. So think of your business the way it used to be before you had this weird side job of running people's cryptography. And maybe there are some businesses that should still run other people's cryptography. Maybe. We don't know. We'll find out. But what we do know is the revolution of cryptography being in the hands of the individual and the empowerment that will come to each individual is here, and it can't be stopped. So, focus on your business. If you're a bank, secure the money. Don't worry about people's mother's maiden names and their dogs' names and all the rest of it.
Well, I mean, think about the emerging companies that disrupted entire industries. Uber, Facebook, you go on and on. They all just got into this business. That was not their intention. That's a really, really, really good explanation that you gave, and I don't know if I've ever heard it articulated like that. I'm very glad I asked you that last question.
Happy to give the answer.
Thank you for the interview.
My pleasure.
My name is Ian Utilli. I'm here at Consensus 2019, the world's largest event around all things crypto, blockchain, and the rest. I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. I'll be back again soon.
Thanks a lot, man.
Yeah. That was really, really, really good. I learned a lot. I'm like, smarter now than I was before Nolan. Cool, and I'll send you a link to that.
Yeah, great. We'll push it out on our thing. And
that'd be great.
Awesome, man.
All right, cool, man.
Pretty good.
Yeah, good.
Did you get any of this swag bag? I didn't even open mine.
I did. It was actually way better experience than I was expecting.
Good.
So Jody and I did NFT NYC together.
Yeah.
I'm doing 2 big events tomorrow and Friday in Puerto Rico with Brock, but there are only 30 people in the room, and then I have this massive online audience. I was talking, I should tell you about what I do for events. So my premise is this: I want to have like a couple dozen people in the room that are all speakers and panelists and fireside chat people. I want no audience. Unless we really want an audience, it'll be media, 100 media people in the room. So that's like I'm doing in San Francisco on July 11th. There'll be 125 media. They have to be pre-qualified and pay to be there. And then there'll be 14 speakers, so 7 keynotes, 7 fireside chats. But I'll hopefully have over 1,000, maybe 10,000 people that pre-signed up to watch online.
Crazy.
Now what I do is every speaker gives me access to their YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter pages, and I live stream through everybody's pages, and then their marketing team runs their comments, runs their marketing.
Yeah, very clever.
What I've also done, like I did the Future of Blockchain at Twitter's headquarters last summer, and I had all 20 or so speakers that I live streamed through, but I had like out of the 200 attendees, like 75 gave me access to live stream through their accounts. The way I did it was I'm like, tickets are $500 or free if you let me live stream through your account.
You must have a big traffic, all that kind of.
The way that I do it is I build it around my speakers.
Yeah.
So it's all the traffic to try to extract energy from the collective distribution channels that we have for one another.
And I've been trying to think of that too for our own event, to how to, sort of.
So that's what I want to talk with you. I know Boards, is that it? And then Jacob, your head of digital operations. So I connected with the two of them. I wanted to have a conversation with you guys about, hey, here's what I do. What I don't do is events. What I do is like very, very aggressive, unique ways of live stream distribution.
We should think of it, because we have a pretty strong access to the speakers.
Yes.
And so we could probably contrive something that would be pretty interesting.
What would be interesting is like, how could I bring my strength into your world? Because I'm building software around all that I do. So it takes me 3 softwares and a team of a dozen people and all this equipment to pull it off. So we're gonna have one piece of software that basically allows us to do this process in an automated fashion.
I like it, man. Let's keep the conversation. We'll have a look.
So I'll follow up with you about that.
Awesome, man.
All right, Nolan.
Yeah, thanks for your time, man.
Yeah, that was good.
Nice to meet you. Yeah, take it
all right. Great, I'm ready. Welcome to FutureCast. This is all about attention. So thank you so much for your attention. I'm going to be spending the next few hours with you, and what you'll find is that I'm going to go back and forth between sitting here in the studio in Redding, California, and just talking to you about the state of attention and the future of attention. We're going to focus on 7 different spheres of influence today. We'll be talking about the influence and attention that people are trying to get in the spheres of art, of news, of philanthropy, of family, of business, education, and government. And we'll basically have that broken down into like 4-minute sound bites. I'll be with my friend Bryant Jaquez, who's a local here in Redding and my marketing director. And he'll be sitting here with me on the couch, and let's be having these really short 4-minute conversations together about the state of attention. And I just wanted to welcome you. Thank you for joining me. What you just saw was me and Nolan. He is the head of research for CoinDesk, which puts on the Consensus event that I went to 2 weeks ago in New York City. This is the largest event that happens in the blockchain, distributed ledger, cryptocurrency, NFT, decentralized space, right? There's many names for the same thing. It's this third-party verification system that will, in many ways, automate the world, hold technology, government, and people accountable, and force trust. We see the first iteration of this with different cryptocurrencies and whatnot. And so I went out to New York City. I did about 100 interviews in New York City at Consensus, and one of my favorites was the one that you just saw. That was with Nolan, and we walked all through the 2nd and 3rd floor of that convention center. We walked through the expo hall, and what's amazing is that was live streamed. So we were actually able to live stream wirelessly this conversation, and I intend to do that again tomorrow here in Reading on the Sundial Bridge. So I have found that over the course of the last couple of years, as I've really gotten more and more intentional about live streaming, that we have gotten more creative about the innovative approach that we've taken as a team. I am just the person that is like a cheerleader. Like, come on, guys, we can do this. Like, we can go live, we can get people's attention, we can influence them for ourselves or for different products or services that we want to tell people about. And also just for the sake of pushing the boundaries, like how far can we go with this stuff? And so in just a moment, you're gonna see a video of Bryant Jaquez and myself. He is my co-host and my friend today, and this is from a couple months ago. We were at the NASDAQ Entrepreneurial Center in San Francisco. It was at Bradley Metrock's event, the Voice of the Car Summit, where we launched VoiceFirst.tv, and it's our interview there, a chance for you to get to know Bryant. Before we get started today, I hope you enjoy this video. My name is Ian Utilli. This is the NASDAQ Entrepreneurial Center, and we are having the Voice of the Car Summit. I'm here with one of my friends that I consider as a leader, as a brander, a storyteller, a marketer, a biz dev person, you name it, he makes things happen. He also does a lot of training, maybe he'll talk a bit about that. But as we're looking at like new industries, like voice tech in cars, one of the biggest things in my opinion is storytelling. So I was thinking to myself, what great storyteller do I know that teaches other people how to tell stories that could maybe end our live stream in the broadcast studio with some insight on how should startups or even huge companies like Google and Amazon best tell their story. Bryant, thank you for joining me.
Thanks, Ian.
The floor is yours. I'm here to listen and learn.
Okay, well, teaching is what I like to do most of all. So I'll do my best. I am the founder of a company called Metaphor. And the reason I named my company Metaphor is because metaphor is a split-second story. So metaphors are like thinking partners for our brain because they help us understand complex ideas in a split second.
Right.
And so what I do is I come in and I teach companies, mostly in the tech space, how to introduce products through storytelling, but I teach them how to tell split-second stories. Yeah. Because as we know, attention is a rare commodity, and we can't use the same storytelling methods that are used in Pixar or a movie theater or a Shakespeare play because they have the luxury of having a 2-hour captive audience who wants to hear what they have to say. And we're introducing products where we have to earn the attention of our audience, and they haven't. Or the technology behind voice technology, you can say voice is the greatest social servant that has ever been engineered, because it can meet anywhere where they're at, regardless of their location or the language that they speak or a disability, or regardless of where they're at in life, it can meet them and help them become a part of society, helps them become more productive. And in a second, you can explain the value or the problems that are being solved, and you don't need a long commercial, right? Or maybe you're a consumer product and you want to be more exciting, and you're saying, voice is a tsunami of convenience. So whatever it is, you always start with the audience in mind. But I think, personally, I believe storytelling is the most effective way to capture attention and shift perceptions and create the most amount of change. In terms of changing perspectives or even user behavior, it can create the largest amount of change in the shortest period of time.
Yeah, that's awesome. When people come to you to learn about storytelling, how would you approach it if it's a quick cup of coffee compared to they're coming to one of your multi-hour or couple of day training seminars?
Yeah.
If you only have a short period of time, what are you really trying to communicate to a marketing executive or to a startup founder?
Yeah. So my job is to study how the human brain interacts with stories. And what we found is that the stories that capture the most amount of attention are stories of transformation, where somebody is overcoming an objection or an obstacle. There's some kind of change. Another split-second story is a from to. So like going from homeless to Harvard, or from revolutionary to evolutionary. But the reason why those are interesting and the reason why they work is because you craft a brand story based off of your understanding of the changes or the impact that your audience is looking to see in their life. So when I sit down with somebody, I just start to ask questions like, what are the pain points in your market? What are the needs of your consumer base? What are their unfulfilled needs or desires? What's stopping those desires from being realized right now? Or even from a perception standpoint, right? Like, why isn't the entire world knocking at your front door? Like, what are the perceptions or the objections, or like, how do people feel? Are they skeptical? Are they just not quite sure what you're doing yet? Do we need to take them from complexity to clarity? Whatever it is, it really starts with the audience.
Welcome to the Attention Summit. This is a FutureCast. My name is Ian Utilli. I'm here with my co-host, Brian Taquez. And you just saw a video of the two of us, and that video was inside the NASDAQ Entrepreneurial Center in San Francisco, California. That was Bradley Metrock's event called the Voice of the Car Summit. We had a great time there. We launched the VoiceFirst.tv new broadcast. And so what we're going to talk about right now is art and entertainment. And it's a state of attention. So, Brian, thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Ian.
Welcome to the couch here at the FutureCast studio. Let's talk about the state of attention for art and entertainment. We met because you were at the time the director of marketing and business development for Bethel Music, which has been an incredibly successful organization in so many ways, and one of those ways is getting people's attention and influencing them.
Yep.
So, state of attention for art and entertainment. Tell me your thoughts.
Absolutely. As you said, I am a marketer turned storyteller with a background in the entertainment industry. So my field of research, if you will, is studying how to capture the attention of large groups of people. And the reason I ventured into storytelling is because essentially we discovered that stories is one of the best ways to capture and retain the attention of an audience. Right. So in my opinion, when it comes to attention in the entertainment, arts, media industry, it's really about being able to not just get in front of people consistently, which we're doing here. Right. We're live on probably 100 channels, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. By the way, share this video if your friends aren't watching it, they should. But it's not enough to just get in front of people. Yeah. Capturing attention is important, but you can't just be noise. You have to cut through the noise. Yeah. So when you're in front of people, the way to retain the attention is either by entertaining them, telling them stories, adding value to their life, somehow causing a transformation in the life of your audience, even if it's just for a minute. Yep. So when I look at the entertainment industry, I think that, let's talk about music. It's not enough to just make music and sell it anymore, right? Like Spotify, Pandora have proven that. People have a greater demand for music than they ever have, but they are not willing to pay for it in the same way that they used to. Right. And I think we're seeing that trickle through all aspects of culture. Yeah. So eventually, movies is going to be impacted. Eventually, TV is already impacted, like Netflix and Hulu. Huge. And I think that's going to continue to spread. Yeah. So all of society is going to experience this wave of increased demand, but a decrease in our desire to pay for it in the traditional methods. Yeah. And I think that if you're not, if you're in the media industry and you haven't figured out a way to give your audience the same content, but with a different business model, then you're going to start to lag behind.
Yeah, it's good. What do you most delighted by when it comes to how technology has impacted getting people's attention for an artist, an entertainer, or a group of artists and entertainers? Maybe this can be kind of the final thing we chat about before we take a quick video break and transition over to the future of attention.
Yeah. Well, I think it's easier than ever to capture the attention of an audience.
That's good.
I think that the landscape or the environment of the digital landscape of the world is still very siloed and segmented. So it's hard to capture everybody's attention all at the same time, which is probably going to change as new tools are released and introduced to fix that problem. But you no longer need a media team and a studio and multiple camera crews and a label to help you get in front of people.
Yep. What you're about to see is a video. This video is of me interviewing my friend Marguerite at the NFT NYC event. This happened in February this year inside the PlayStation Theater in New York Times Square. And we had a conversation about games. She's a video game developer building video games on the blockchain. And I really loved this conversation. I thought you would enjoy taking a peek at it as we're talking about art and entertainment and the state of things today. So enjoy this video. Bryant and I will be right back to talk about the future of attention regarding art and entertainment.
In 2014, I started making crypto puzzles. So I was hiding Bitcoin private keys in paintings. So they were just like money hidden in plain sight, basically. And anyone in the world could pull that Bitcoin out of the art. And then I started doing that digitally. And then we made treasure hunts online that would go through websites. And that was my background for about 5 years. So really heavy in the guerrilla marketing, viral marketing aspect, because people love doing that, like hunting for the Bitcoin. So that kind of idea then, now with this non-fungible token type gameplay, it's even more accessible. So everyone who comes into the game has the opportunity to pull that value out as opposed to just one winner at the end.
I'm really excited to talk to your friend that's the artist. I was walking by, I want to be your friend. This is amazing. Come share what you're doing. So that'll be fun. That'll be in the next hour or so. What's the age target? I know that it's for anybody, but what's the lower end age target? I guess would be my question, because any person of any older age can play your game. What's the lower end age target for your new game that's coming out?
So we're targeting 18 to 33, about maybe 35. Really, you could go. Hopefully you can just keep on going with that. But millennials, I think for us, they really understand the idea of game economies and then the crossover of crypto. They kind of fit into that same diagram. So that's our real go-to market for Neon District. But I'm hoping that it's something that is widely accessible so it can be inviting to multiple groups.
Yeah. I love the name, Neon District. It's really good. I like a lot of things that you and your team are doing. How about how there's, the Twitch channels, the YouTubers that are gaming? It's the younger people are watching gamers instead of football, baseball, basketball, right? Esports is a huge thing. How do you see that playing out with Neon District and with other games like Chainbreakers?
Sure. So Neon District, the goal is to scale it to 1 million users, which is a pretty big accomplishment for something with a blockchain hybrid tech stack. So then once that we prove that milestone, you can then take this to something that could be an esport game. And let's imagine you have your favorite Twitch streamers, Ninja and Dan TDM, right? And they are decked out with non-fungible token gear. And it's a 3D arena battle. And then as they're playing, you can be auctioning on their gear to buy it, according to what's happening in the gameplay and get it. Yeah, and so I think actually the value of being a streamer and then also NFTs, because now anyone that is a celebrity and holds a collectible, it has that additional value add to it. And yeah, so I'm actually really interested to see how the collectible world and then the game world collide.
That's awesome. Is there a question that I should have asked you that you wanted to answer?
Ooh,
I'll ask you any question you want.
Yeah, I guess I'm really excited. There's another game actually. There's a few games. So Axie Infinity is a game that I think is doing a really great job of turn-based battle mechanics, and they're moving over to sidechain also. So eventually, it will be like us. It'll be a freemium model. I think eventually that's in their pipeline. Another game is Age of Rust, which is like a 3D cyberpunk world. So our assets we're planning and have been designing for about a year how our assets will kind of, like, you'll be able to wake up in Age of Rust as a Neon District character if you bring that asset into the game. And that you can't have that beginning with any other of the other starting characters from Age of Rust. So, I mean, we're already working on these ideas of how do we play with this tech, but also not to do too much, because there's actually quite a bit of development involved.
If you're a 6 or 9 year old like my two boys, and your dream is to be a gamer, right? Do Minecraft, and like you watch Dan TDM, and now you're like, I could do that. How might me as a parent want to help guide the paradigm of my young 6, 9 year old children to start thinking through, like, you can build Minecraft's world, or maybe you should consider Sandbox, or maybe you should consider something where you're actually building some. It's a different approach. So how might you guide either a younger person directly or a parent to kind of steer them?
So when I was a kid and my dad brought home the computer and he played games with me, right? I think that special bonding time with your kids as giving them attention. We played online the Battle Chess and then like Monopoly, some of those earlier games. I think that's really special bonding time. And honestly, I think from that is the love of the game. I mean, even today, like a lot of people love the cooperative gameplay, like even old classic like board games, because it's a special way to play with your friends and bond over strategy. So anyways, I think to onboard, the best way is to just do it with them. So if you really want your kids to do something, you should be an active participant. If you want them to be a developer, then you should be making it a fun, like, at-home experiment.
Welcome to FutureCast. This is all about attention. We're calling it the Attention Summit. My name is Ian Utilli, and I'm so glad to have you join us. This is my friend Bryant Jaquez, and he and I are going to talk about the future of attention when it comes to art and entertainment. So, Bryant, let's talk about attention as we project out a decade from now. How will an artist, an entertainer, a musician, a painter, a creative of any sort, how will a creative get the world's attention and influence people in 2030?
2030. Wow. It's a few decades out. Well, not quite. Ideally, anybody, anywhere, from anywhere in the world would be able to have an app on their phone where they hit a button and can go live across every platform, interacting with tens of thousands of people as often as they want.
Yeah.
I think which is, obviously what we have been talking about
right.
For the last couple of years. But I think just removing the friction between connecting with an audience and removing the tools and the resources required in order to get in front of people.
Yep, it's good. Yeah, you think about how attention currently works and how attention will change. Some of the things that I project is, I think, the future of attention for artists and entertainers. I believe that any artist or entertainer, especially if you have children that are leaning in that direction, you think, gosh, my 10-year-old, by the time they're 20, like, that's what they're going to do. Like, I think artists and entertainers are going to make a great living in the future. It's not that way right now. I think artists and entertainers, it will be one of the most honored professions, even though it's maybe not that way at this point, unless you're at the very, 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 very top.
Right.
And so I think part of that's because of decentralization. I think we're going to have less and less centralized platforms, organizations, ways of doing things. More and more things will be decentralized. Will be decentralized, autonomous communities that will basically be run by the people, for the people, and that will radically impact those that entertain us, those that create art for us. And as a creative myself, more in the business sense, I'm very excited about that. As you think, because you have 5 children.
Right.
I have 2 boys, 6 and 10. As you think about your young children, what will it mean for you as some of your kids become more artistically focused, more entertainment focused, more performer focused? What will it mean for you to know that as the future goes on, some of these things will manifest that we're talking about?
Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned decentralized ledger technology, because I think when you start to build or release content through a blockchain, it changes the way that the businesses are able to interact with that content.
That's right.
So in the music industry, I think you can have music licensing that is independent of music publishing companies. An artist can determine who is allowed to use their content and on what platforms. And anybody, even if you use a stem or part of a song worked into a new song or a cover, it automates the ownership and the payouts and the royalties and the licensing for perpetuity. So when you look at generationally the way that that can benefit families financially, or a content creator can have a stream of income that their children's children are still benefiting from, even if somebody's taking one song and making a video that's published on YouTube or the future YouTube.
That's good.
No matter what format it's being released through.
Yeah. What you're about to see is a video of Brock Pierce and myself at his monastery art suites in Puerto Rico. And we talked quite a bit about art and entertainment in this conversation last week. Before I have them cut to this brief video of that conversation, I will just say that my team and I have been really focused on how do you get the world's attention? How do you influence them? And so as you go to attn.live right now, you come to this video, but soon when you go to attn.live, you will find that we have launched our product, and our product will give artists and entertainers, as well as people from every other sphere of influence, a chance to get the world's attention and influence them like never before. And I'll talk more about that in a moment. I hope you enjoyed this interview that I did with Brock last week there in Puerto Rico, Old San Juan, right there at his monastery art suites. Bryant and I will be back in just a moment after this video. Tell me what you'd write in a book if you started laying out the dreams of what could be in this region with art and entertainment in the next decade or so.
Well, it's my dream that by 2030, that Puerto Rico has become a mecca for creative culture. It has more artists per capita than anywhere in the United States. So the raw talent is here, but what Puerto Rico lacks is opportunity. It lacks the outlets for that creative capability, those creative people to turn that talent into product and to monetize those skills in a way where the artists are benefiting. So one of the most important things that I envision for the future is a world where artists are capturing a meaningful amount of value for the value that they deliver to society. Artists are the foundation of the culture of our world. And artists are always struggling. And so I dream of a future where artists are being remunerated in a way that is appropriate for the value that they provide societally.
It's good.
They're getting the shortest end of the stick.
It's good.
And that's because they're typically creative types, not business types.
Yep.
And so they're normally the ones that are the most taken advantage of. They operate from the heart, which is why what they create is so beautiful and so pure.
Yep.
And the systems of distribution and all the middlemen and all the layers essentially take most of the value that they create or they find systems to take what they create and plagiarize it, use it, let them monetize it. And so artists are taking advantage of it. And so I dream of a future where artists are being, compensated in a way that is appropriate for the value they provide. And I think artists are the foundation of the culture of the world. Without them, we are lost. Without them, we are lost. And so that's the core of it. I think that Puerto Rico could have a huge film industry. I dream of sound stages and a studio here to make film, to take further advantage of the wonderful incentives that are here and creating all of the jobs associated with that. Think of it as the Caribbean version of Hollywood.
That's awesome.
More Pirates of the Caribbean and things of that nature. And again, sound stages, you can film anything here, but also look at the beautiful environment. All of those sort of tropical things that you can do, all of those ocean things that you can do, all of those beach things that you can do.
Yeah.
I dream of a world where artists are creating NFTs. They're creating digital art. Crypto-based art, collectibles that are going out there. And so if I was a Puerto Rican artist today, I would be studying blockchain and look at the way that you can start creating your own NFTs and things of that nature and getting that art out beyond the island into the hands of people all over the world.
Yeah.
At scale.
On that, since you brought up NFTs, I want to thank Dapper Labs and CryptoKitties. They gave us 100 CryptoKitties to give away to people that are watching the live stream.
Meow.
And they also gave you and myself and one lucky person that will get a special CryptoKitty called the Kit E. So if you see a little cat on the bottom of the screen, right over here somewhere, there's a little cat right here. Kind of looks like a Wall-E cat. You get one, I get one, we give one away. What do you see in the future of art that's digital, that Puerto Rico can impact over the course of the next decade?
Well, you have a small island with just over 3 million people, but there's so much talent. And so if you want that talent to really scale and impact the world, you have to figure out how to distribute that art beyond, to the billions of people around the planet. And this is one of the most interesting, the best ways to do it today. Another thing that I dream of for Puerto Rico is art experiences, like Meow Wolf, and like Dreamscape in Salt Lake City. The things like Cirque du Soleil, there's so much talent here. Create those experiences. That's something that I would love to do, while here. Music, more recording studios, more artists coming down here to, capture the moment. This place, you walk through it, and you've been transported to an enchanted island.
No doubt about
it. Being here, it is a dream. If you've never been to Puerto Rico and you like beautiful places, you like being surrounded by visually stimulating things, this is one of the most amazing places on the planet. Come check it out.
Welcome to the Attention Summit. My name is Ian Utilli. I am here with my friend Bryant Jaquez, and we are talking about attention. I got some feedback from my team. They said it's okay to smile. I'm gonna try to show some lower teeth today. In fact, I am very, 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 1,000 times very happy right now, to be honest with you. I am happy about many, many things. And you know what? I love talking about the state of attention, how to influence culture, how to influence the world, how to influence people. What we're going to talk about right now is the state of attention for news and media. Before I hand it off to you and ask you your opinion, let me just say the statement. I am very concerned as I look at organizations like Fox and CNN and the rest of the major news media outlets. I think they've completely lost the trust of people, and I think it's because they have taken the, in my opinion, low road of demonizing and glorifying people and organizations. I do not think people nor organizations to be demonized or glorified. We should have a much more balanced perspective. The fact is, people are doing the best they can. We may not agree with everything that they do, say, drive toward, but I think we should be respectful and honorable. Talk to me. What is the state of attention right now in your mind when it comes to the whole sphere of influence, news and media?
Yeah. One of my favorite quotes is from a good friend, a woman named E.B. Hepworth. She says that whoever has the ability to capture the imagination of a generation will control its future.
That's good.
And I think that the news media, news in general, has an incredible responsibility because they have the ability to capture the imagination of a generation. And like you said, probably don't always live up to that responsibility as well as they should. But I think that they are incredibly influential in setting the values and the agenda of society. And as the balance of power starts to move away from the larger organizations to the individual content creators, people like ourselves, digital influencers, thought leaders, public speakers, anybody with a phone has a platform, potentially. Not everybody will gain a following. Not everyone's interesting. I can jump on Instagram and I'm not necessarily going to be the most interesting person to listen to. Maybe. But
I think you're interesting.
Thank you.
I like it when you talk.
I like some of the things that I say, but I think there is a transfer of influence where everybody has the ability to capture the attention. I think we need to be intentional about what we do with that influence and the vision that we cast to capture the imagination of a generation.
I'll give you an idea how to get the world's attention right now for news and media. So here's a quick tip for you. LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter all have different ways of giving news feeds. Okay, we all see that. And what I would do if you want the world's attention is I would just go to LinkedIn, look at the news feed, figure out what you have an opinion about, and then just go live. Go live and talk about that thing and then post that video against that article on LinkedIn. Or Twitter. Go through the Twitter feed, say, I have an opinion. Hopefully it's not to glorify and demonize somebody or an organization, but it's something of value, honor, respectful, thoughtful, intelligent, and go live and then post that against that Twitter post. Do you have a tip or trick if somebody wants to get the world's attention today?
Yeah, well, I'm a storyteller. So stories are one of the most effective tools for capturing attention. If you think about the way that we spend our time, we're willing to sit in front of a TV screen for 2 to 3 hours, transfixed on a story, essentially, in front of us. We're not willing to give our time to too many other things for that length of time. So tell stories. Talk about the impact you want to make on society. Talk about the transformation that you're going to make in people's lives. That's always interesting.
That's great. What you're about to see right now is you're going to see me interviewing my friend Katie from SoundHound and Houndify. This was at an event that Bryant and I did together with our team at inside the NASDAQ Entrepreneurial Center in San Francisco, California. And this was at the Voice of the Car Summit. I hope you enjoy this excerpt of the interview that I did with Katie as she talked about what Houndify is doing to serve people in the voice-first space.
And this was in 2009, and he demonstrated a tiny little voice app that SoundHound was working on.
Wow.
And he really shared that his vision for his lifetime's work effectively was how do we enable a voice era to come forward. Very obvious today. I mean, we're all in it, but a decade ago, it wasn't super sexy to talk about it, let alone get funding. So the team has really put forward some extraordinary R&D let alone getting to a point where we can engineer and productize. So we come forward and we've got a platform called the Houndify Voice AI platform. This platform is specifically empowering brands to control and own their user experience from the very tip of spear of the wake word engagement all the way through to the auditorial experience of what we call the TTS, the text-to-speech back. And in between, the automatic speech recognition, the natural language processing, the developer tools needed, the data sets, they're all live and available on the platform. And what we have is not just a little bit better than really what the major giants have out there. It's a step change different.
Wow. And how would somebody engage with that? Is it like a software as a service? Is it a custom engagement, like an enterprise engagement?
Right.
Like, because people are watching voice first TV and they're thinking to themselves, can I participate?
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, fantastic. For the audience who's leaning in here to understand,
yes,
absolutely. It's so accessible, all right? The plug is...
You might want to show a demo or something.
Yeah, I will. I'll do a demo.
We'll see how it goes.
Sure, but anyone can get onto the platform for free and actually use it quite a bit for free, right? When there are very big engagements, we deploy Houndified solutions. We bring you into the fold and we go deep. But there are so many developers just tinkering around and potentially building great things without even talking to us by using the platform. But let's rev this, right? So the Hound app is a voice search and assistant. It's our own.
Okay.
Right? So we decided, well, we've got this amazing platform. Let's build our own voice assistant.
So this would be an alternative to using Alexa or Assistant
That's right.
or Watson. Okay.
Exactly.
Great.
It's free. Go download it on either one of the app stores. And let me just start revving you some power with it, right? So let's say I have a conference call and I've got a team in Tokyo and in Berlin, and it's usually, I think it's around 4 o'clock here to set up that time. What time is it in Tokyo and Berlin when it's 4 p.m. here?
It is 8 a.m. the next day in Tokyo and 1 a.m. the next day in Berlin when it is 4 p.m. here.
That's great, but as an end user, I shouldn't be really wowed on that.
Right.
But I'll only show this.
I like what it shows on the screen. That's actually pretty cool.
Thank
Can you.
you.
Show that?
Yeah, sure. It gives the context and.
Can you take a screenshot for me?
I will do. We can send that out. But let me put this in context with your native assistants. So if you're on iOS, obviously, if I ask that same question, what time is it in Tokyo and Berlin when it's 4 p.m. here? So what's happening there is it was correct ASR, but it's 2 a.m. in San Francisco, Tokyo. Okay. If we go to a great company of Google, okay, Google, what time is it in Tokyo and Berlin when it's 4 p.m. here? Right, so right there.
9 a.m. Wednesday in Berlin, Germany.
It got one component and then lots of blue links, so I still have to use my mental bandwidth to figure out exactly what I wanted. Something so simple, but what I'm showing you is massive tech giants with all the resources in the world, all the dev talent in the world. It's not necessarily brute force resources, money, and heads. It could, in fact, be elements of breakthroughs on the technology level, right? So some of our breakthroughs have been able to combine what's the voice recognition part, NLU. We call that speech to meaning. That gives you speed, accuracy, delays, less latency. But importantly, we can handle compound, complex queries. Oh my gosh, that's mind blowing. What does that all mean? And really early on, when Kayvon was saying this is going to be really powerful because we want humans to speak to each other, we're context aware right now. Like, how's the weather? We just talked about outside. You're following all that. The voice platforms need to be able to handle that conversational, context aware, and compound, complex query status that humans innately talk. So let's show how Hound might handle a compound, complex query, and it's going to get you to a place where local search, the way you used to do it, is going to be very old school. You'll never filter again.
I haven't seen this. I'm actually pumped right now.
Okay, here we go. Let's say, it's a little early, but let's say, show me restaurants that are Asian, excluding Chinese and Japanese, that are open right now and have outdoor seating.
Showing 8 Asian restaurants that are open now that have outdoor seating, excluding Chinese restaurants, Japanese restaurants, or sushi bars.
Okay, but let's say, actually, let's go out later tonight. Only show those that are open after 11 p.m.
Welcome to the Attention Summit. This is a FutureCast production. My name is Ian Utilli. This is Bryant Jaquez here with me, and we are grateful for your attention. And what we're talking about today is the state of attention and our projection on the future of attention for different spheres of influence. Right now, what we're talking about is news and media. As you project out, let's say a decade from now, how will news and media get the world's attention? How will news and media, how will that sphere of society influence the world?
In my opinion, I think news agencies are shooting themselves in the foot. I think they're holding back from a much larger audience because they're trying to play catch up with the business model and the state of technology, where if they wanted to capture the attention of the world, they should go live on every platform, including emerging technology. They should be live on Alexa and Google Home, obviously Facebook, LinkedIn, Periscope, Twitter, everywhere. Probably Spotify, who knows? They should go live everywhere while they're live, and then they can figure out how to make the business model work. And if they don't catch up, then I think what has happened to every other part of the media industry is going to happen to the TV industry. It's already happening, but to save themselves from going the way of the newspaper, I think we need to completely reimagine the business model behind news and media.
That's good. That's good. How about your kids? Like, how are your kids absorbing news and media, if at all? They're young. So how are your kids absorbing news and media? And how do you think they'll absorb news and media in 10 years when they will want to? Like, what will be the state of getting your children's attention, my children's attention, in a decade for the news and media industry?
Yeah. Well, my kids are young. My oldest is 10, and she doesn't consume news. But she does engage with media, mostly YouTube videos. Mostly videos of other kids on YouTube talking about the world as they see it. And I think that is indicative of what we're going to see in the future. Peer-to-peer influence of people influencing people who are like them. I think it's decentralized. I think it's free. And I think it's open to anybody willing to turn on a camera and share their opinions with the world.
It's good. So I'll share kind of what I think the news and media industry is going to look like in 10 years based on the product that my team is working to build. If you go to attn.live right now, it goes to this video that you're watching, but soon it will go to our new product website. And so the way I see the media world using or getting the world's attention is through live streaming, audio and video through every single medium possible. So I imagine that radio will still do their 24/7 radio broadcasts, but when they do a 24/7 radio broadcast, what will happen is they will do a 24/7 radio broadcast and they will pull certain advertising out, and they'll put different advertising in when they're live streaming to Spotify, different advertising when they're live streaming through Alexa, different advertising when they're live streaming through Assistant, maybe no advertising when they're live streaming through Cortana, maybe no advertising when they're live streaming through Snapchat. So like you'll have these organizations with the consistent content flow, video and audio, even if it's audio based, but there's just a picture up against it. And that's how people are going to get attention 10 years from now. It's going to be on the platforms people are already at, giving them the content they already want to receive. The next video that you're going to see is going to be Brock Pierce and myself at his Monastery Art Suites in Puerto Rico. It was at the Global Puerto Rico Summit last week. We're talking about news and media specific to Puerto Rico, but I thought that this short clip would also be very valuable to all of you right now. And so I hope that you enjoy this clip. I will be talking more and more over the course of this event about our attention.live, attn.live product, and what we'll be doing for all spheres of all the different spheres of influence out there in the world, and also specifically news and media, which you're going to take a look at this video right now with Brock Pierce and myself, and then Bryant and I will be back in just a moment to talk about the sphere of philanthropy and worship, or what you might call faith. We're talking about the future of Puerto Rico in regards to the sphere of influence of society that is news and media.
And the future is bright.
It is.
Share it with. Discover breathtaking waters. Discover back roads. Traveled at all. Explore hidden places. And get ready to discover adventure.
There's an adventure and skill levels.
Welcome to the FutureCast Attention Summit. My name is Ian Utilli, and I'm happy that you are here with me and my friend Bryant Jaquez. And we are here at a studio in Redding, California that is the Global Legacy Studio. It's part of Bethel, which has 84, I think, different organizations that are under its banner. And it's fitting that for our next topic, what we're talking about is the state of attention for the faith sphere, or I like to break down faith into worship and philanthropy. And I would define worship as just the process of gratitude, contentment, thankfulness toward our Creator. We have many different ways of seeing that. Obviously, some of us are very determined that we know exactly what it is. I figure all of us get our theology fixed when we die. And then philanthropy, which is an ultimate act of faith, to take what is yours and to freely give it to a person or an organization with the faith that this will do good. So I like to be a little more clear about faith or religion in the sense that we're talking about either worship, which is a spiritual soul thing, or philanthropy, which is more of a physical mind thing. So talk to me, you've been here in this faith environment that is Bethel, Bethel Music. We talked about that already. So talk a bit about what's the state of attention for the spheres of worship and philanthropy right here, right now.
Well, I'll talk about my personal experience here at Bethel. So I've worked behind the scenes in a few different departments, Bethel Music, Bethel TV, and Worship U, which all have a live in-person expression and then an online expression as well, digital. And I think Bethel Church has been an accidental forerunner in a lot of the ways that they embrace technology. The way that Bethel TV and Bethel Media was built was by recording sermons from the pulpit onto cassette tapes, back when we used those, and then mailing them out for free all around the world to anybody who wanted to listen to the sermon of the week. And I think we've seen technology enable us to do that at a much larger scale. And now there's houses of worship that are doing free live streams of their sermon every week across many platforms. And I think that technology is giving us the ability to reach larger audiences than we ever have before. And now, like you said, whether that's for philanthropy or streaming a service or a charity or an NGO or whatever it is, we have the ability to interact with a global audience like we've never done before.
Yeah, it's really, really good. I think that for a long time, all the people in the nonprofit, faith, religious space have been given their community's attention whether they deserved it or not. I think that's changing, not in the future, but right here, right now. So for those that are in the worship space, you cultivate environments for communities to worship, or for those that are in the philanthropy space, you're encouraging people to give. Like I'm telling you, things have changed drastically. We're going to go to a video right now. This is a video of myself interviewing Josie Bellini, or Josephine Bellini. You can find out more about her at Josie, JOSIE.io. She is a crypto artist, and she has a couple pieces of art that she uses to raise money for different causes, which is why I kind of put her right here in the philanthropy spot, right? I wanted to share a bit of our interview together. We did at Consensus NYC 2 weeks ago. I want you to see her amazing artwork that she creates. And I want you to think about her as an artist leveraging the philanthropy sphere to get the world's attention for her art and for what is meaningful to her. She's using her new type of art, NFT art, crypto art, blockchain art, and then she's tying in philanthropy into that. And so I thought this would be a really great example to share with all of you. I hope you enjoy this video, and Bryant and I will be right back to talk about the future of attention for the faith space in just a moment. My name is Ian Utilli. I'm here at Consensus 2019 in New York City. There's about 5,000 people here that are involved with distributed ledger technology, crypto, blockchain, NFTs, anything around the decentralized space. And I'm here with one of my favorite artists, Josephine Bellini. You can check her stuff out at josie.io. And this is some of her art, and we're just gonna have a conversation that I'm inviting you to listen to so you can get to know her art, and how she's taking crypto art to the next level with augmented reality and non-fungible token interaction. So welcome, I appreciate your attention. I hope you enjoy this. Josie, here we are again in your gallery. Probably one of the coolest places that they could possibly give you, right? You get all the traffic coming and going. So could you start by just telling us about yourself as an artist, and how did you become a crypto artist, and then an NFT artist, and now an augmented reality artist? Like, what's the story? What's comic book number one?
So I actually studied finance. I was previously in private wealth management. There I learned a bit about crypto and discovered it there, started investing small amounts. And then honestly, I became interested in crypto because my investments were doing well. I was like, what is this?
Wow.
So I became really interested in Ethereum. That led to Bitcoin, which led to other things. And since then, crypto art has been my way to combine all of my passions, tech, art, crypto, into one form, and into a form that I can visually share with everyone and create awareness and even adoption. So that's what my goal with my pieces. And then recently, I've been venturing into the NFT space, which is non-fungible tokens, digitally rare items, and also augmented reality and virtual reality. And bridging the gap between all of those, and telling people it's not that hard to get into VR or AR. You can do it on your phone today easily. And yeah, so that's what I've been
Why don't
doing.
we show a demo?
Sure.
So I downloaded this app that you use.
Yes, and it's a free
app. The app is called Art Evive. ARTIVIVE. So we're going to open up Art Evive. We're going to step this way, and we're going to show how this works. So why don't you narrate what's happening?
Sure. So the original piece has US dollars in the background. You can see them falling off, which is why she has the gas mask on to filter the fiat. But now that all of the US dollars have fallen and Bitcoin is revealed, she no longer needs the gas mask, so that's why it comes off the end. So all of my pieces eventually will have the augmented reality. This was the first piece pushed, but it's really unique because someone could have bought a print a year and a half ago, and I sent them an email saying your art has been updated. Check out the new update. So I can change the story, I can add to the story, and there's constantly, it's just evolving. And I can do that with all of my pieces, which I will be doing with all of my pieces. So it's a pretty exciting way to combine those two things.
Can you talk about the art that's on my shirt?
Yeah, this is one of my more recent pieces. This is actually my friend from Venezuela. She has political asylum here in Chicago, or not here, but
where you
in
live.
Chicago, where I live. Her name is Mariana, and we created this piece. She told me her story of why she came to Chicago, what's happening in Venezuela with the inflation. It's a humanitarian crisis there. So we created a piece to raise awareness and raise money. 100% of all the profits from the shirt and also the piece go to Venezuela. And this one is just so important. The title of the piece is Resistance. The flag in her gas mask actually has 7 stars instead of the current 8 to represent the former flag, which is what the country prefers. And then the bolivars in the background of the piece are burned, representing the truly worthless value they have now, which is so terrible. And the Bitcoin white paper is in the back. So that one will be getting augmented reality in the next 2 weeks, which I'm really excited to push. But that's only a limited print of 50.
Okay. And can you tell me, what are the different ways people could acquire this? They could buy a shirt.
Yeah.
All different sizes.
You could buy a shirt, all different sizes, extra small through 3XL. And the augmented reality will actually work on the shirt as well, which will be really fun. And then the print is also the other way that you could support.
What size prints can people buy? Just one size?
This particular piece is one size.
Okay.
It's 30 inches by 40 inches.
Is that this one right here?
That's
okay.
that one there.
Got it.
And then some other pieces come in a range of different sizes.
Okay, awesome. Can you tell us about some of your other art pieces?
Sure.
Like this is your newest one.
Yes. So this
and this is the most advanced in terms of augmented reality, non-fungible token interaction. You did it kind of in combination with some of our mutual friends that are in the gaming space. So tell us a bit about this piece.
So this piece is truly just, when I dove into NFTs, and my friends that I've known have been in NFTs forever, but I just have always thought, oh, I'm not a gamer, I wouldn't get use out of them. And then I started to realize it's so much more than that. I mean, it's truly a social platform where people have part of their lives, have part of their, assets stored through these digital goods. So I got really interested in all of these platforms. They're really amazing. We have CryptoPunks, also from Larva Labs. We have Autoglyphs, which is the first blockchain generative art. CryptoKitties, Neon District, Plasma Bears, Decentraland, Chainbreakers, CryptoVoxels. So these VR platforms, the blockchain games, the blockchain art, everything like that. And this piece is titled Tune In. So it's telling people kind of like, wake up, get into this. And the AR implemented on this will be really cool. The static will be flickering, and you'll see everything happening with it as well. That one is the first piece that I'm selling in a really unique way. It will be sold on OpenSea. Only 20 prints available, with 6 reserved for the projects that are pictured. And the NFTs.
So let's sell them out. What do they cost, and can they buy them right now? How do they get a hold of you to buy them?
I'm taking pre-orders. You can DM me on Twitter or email me or anything.
So that's
like that.
at josie.io, josie.io. DM Josephine, and then let her know I want to purchase one of the limited 20. Well, welcome to FutureCast, the Attention Summit. I'm a happy man. I'm laughing over here. That was a fun interview. That was with me and Josie at the Consensus event in New York City 2 weeks ago. And I love her art. I hope you enjoyed it. You can go to josie.io to check that out. She raises money for a couple of her art pieces, which is why I had her interview come here in the middle of the event for that we're talking about philanthropy, because right now we're switching to the topic of philanthropy and worship or faith or religion, whatever you want to call it, in terms of what is the state of attention in the future. So what do you think faith organizations, nonprofit organizations, philanthropists, fundraising organizations, anybody in that space, what are they going to have to do in a decade to get the world's attention, to influence the world? How are things going to change? How's the state of attention going to change in this sphere of influence?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think one of the biggest challenges with nonprofit and NGO work is there is a negative perception attached to them, which essentially says, I'm not sure if I can trust you. So you're asking me for money, I'm at a concert, you're saying donate money to feed the children, but I don't actually know if you're going to feed the child.
That's good.
And I think that people who work in NGOs have the best of intentions. I'm not calling an individual out, I'm just saying that is a fact that there's a negative perception in the industry.
It's very true.
Well, blockchain and ledger technology and decentralized everything gives us the ability to track from the second I hand $1 to Ian Utility. We can watch that currency as it navigates through the ecosystem of the nonprofit and what it's used for and how it's broken down and who's paid what, and ultimately how the person at the end of the funnel is benefited in a way that has never been possible before. And I think as organizations are required to move in that direction because of the pressure that society is going to place on them, we'll know how organizations are spending our money, and we get to decide who we want to support as a result of that.
That's good. You know, I think that we are going to have a sense where people that are raising money for charity, or people that are cultivating community or environments of worship, are going to be able to go live at any time on any platform, audio or video. So when somebody's inspired and they want to cultivate worship in somebody else's life, either through teaching sacred scriptures or through singing a worshipful song or a spiritual song, you might call it, I think people are just going to basically just go live on unlimited number of platforms they have access to, audio or video, in their car. Our cars will be big, huge transportation devices that have elevated from a death trap to an autonomous vehicle that drives us around to a content creation machine.
Right.
You know, you're moving into a bus.
I am.
And so imagine your bus becoming over time, or your kids, when they maybe take on the bus as a lifestyle of kind of a mobile life, like that being this huge content creation machine. You know, and if you're a fundraiser, you're always trying to get people's attention to give money to something, or if you are dropping rings off your finger because your finger's not as big as it used to be.
I mean, it's okay, you have enough to go around.
Still have three. These rings are ridiculous, but I like them. I think they're kind of fun.
They're fun.
And so your bus becoming this content creation machine. I think it's a big part of what's happening in the near future, right?
It is. Yeah, like you said, we're moving on to a schoolie, all 7 of us, 7 on a schoolie.
It's fun.
And imagine being able to push a button and go live to webcast from within the school bus where we're at, what we're seeing, what national park we're camping in that night, and to interact with a global audience.
It's awesome. Love it. What you're going to see in just a moment is a video of Brock Pierce and myself in Puerto Rico. It's the Global Puerto Rico Summit. We did this at the Monastery Art Suites, and he and I got very excited talking about philanthropy and worship and Puerto Rico's impact on that. And right now, if you go to attn.live, right now you'll see this video. But soon you'll go to a site with our product that allows you to be automated in getting the world's attention through any means necessary on every platform possible, with a strong focus on live podcasting audio. And imagine if philanthropists and fundraisers were able to do that right now, what a difference that would make for them. I do hope you enjoy this brief interview I do with Brock Pierce, and Brian and I will be back in just a moment to talk about the sphere of family and the state of attention for family right now today. I'm wearing this shirt, On Earth as in Heaven. I want to thank my friend Suzanne for making this epic shirt. I have 2 of them. I wore one yesterday. It's just different. It's white. And we were just saying a moment ago, in Puerto Rico as in heaven. I want to talk about the 2 sides of faith in my mind. One side is worship. The process of bringing contentment and gratitude and thankfulness to the unseen, the Creator. The other side of faith to me is philanthropy. The process of saying, I have faith that I'm going to give money and make a sacrifice financially because I believe in the good that will come of it. Can you please talk about that whole entire sphere of faith today, worship and philanthropy in the Puerto Rico region?
I spend a lot of my time talking to people that come down here that have been blessed with abundance. And many of those people come down here because of the tax incentives. And for me, if you're going to be the beneficiary of those incentives, you better pay it back. These incentives were created to bring prosperity to the island.
That's good.
And so I'm like that watchdog that, will always be asking about how are you giving back? I know that you're receiving a lot from this island, and what are you giving back? And I become a bit of a ball buster. When people are like, I'm like,
I told my dad about that. So I told my dad because, as an entrepreneur, sometimes we have events that are wonderful events in life that free up resources. And I'm like, hey, these things are happening and Puerto Rico's looking really good, if not for me, because our family's here in Santa Cruz, like for others. And he's like, you're going to save all, you guys save all this money in taxes. I'm like, but time out. May not be law, but Brock Pierce ain't going to let me save a bunch of money and not reinvest back into Puerto Rico. He made that one real clear when I met him.
And I've been doing that to everybody because that's what it's about. It's got to be win-wins for everyone. The opportunity is normally we go through life, and when we give back, we've done our hard work, we've lived in our high-cost cities that are hard to survive in with high costs of living, with our high taxes and everything else. But we still should always be giving something back. When you're blessed with abundance, one of the most important ways of expressing that gratitude to the universe is by giving to those that are less fortunate in whatever means, whatever calls to you. And in Puerto Rico, this is the perfect place to do it because you get so much. Yeah. You save so much, which means you have more to give. And even net, you may end up with more at the end of the day than you had before, and you gave more than ever before.
So good.
So that's that perfect sort of scenario where you create that confluence of events where everybody starts to win. Rising tides raise all ships. Yep. I like to think of this in a very sort of almost Robin Hood sort of fashion. You have the ability to legally, save tremendously on taxes, but you do that so that you can philanthropically give back to the people and the causes that are most important to you.
That's great.
You're always going to give. The question is, are you giving it to the government in the form of taxes?
Right.
Or are you giving it to the causes that resonate with you directly, where you get to see the impact of those funds that you give? You get to connect with the people and the lives that you're changing or the earth that you're saving.
That's good.
It's a powerful thing. And once you start to see the impact of your actions, once you get to see the impact of your giving, it's the greatest gift there is giving. When you start to feel in yourself what's happening and the impact and the beauty and watching the lives that you're touching, the greatest gift there is giving.
It's a celebration.
And once you start to learn to give,
yes,
and when you give with no expectation of anything in return, the universe, there's this saying that what you give, you get back tenfold.
Yes.
I truly believe in this. I truly believe the more you give, the more you get, but it has to be done in the spirit of authenticity, not with any expectation of anything in return, not because you're hoping other people will notice what you did and they're going to think more highly of you. The greatest gift is the anonymous gift. It's a very Satoshi sort of mentality.
Yep.
We're not here to stroke our egos. We're here to quietly, know, when we go to bed at night and we know in ourselves, as we judge ourselves and our actions, that you're living a good life.
Yes.
You are growing spiritually. You're aspiring to achieve your highest, greatest potential.
Yeah.
I call it Satoshi consciousness. Some people call it Christ consciousness, or it goes by many names. Whatever resonates with you.
That's good. Welcome to FutureCast's Attention Summit. My name is Ian Utilli. I'm here with my friend Bryant Jaquez, and we are glad that you're joining us. We're going to talk about family, both family men. Between the two of us, we have 7 children. The tall man is winning.
I have 5 kids. I have a full minivan.
Now a full bus.
Now a full bus.
Full bus.
Yep. My family and I are moving into a schoolie. We're going to road trip all summer long.
So fun.
Across the country.
What's the state of attention for families? How does somebody that serves family get, like, if somebody right here, what they do is they work with kids or families, they're an educator to children, or they're trying to get the family's attention. Mm-hmm. How do they do that today? What's the state of getting you and your wife's attention? How does somebody say, Bryant, I want your attention. I want to influence you and your family to buy our products, use our services, to come take your schoolie to our town.
Right.
What's the state of attention for families today?
Well, I think let's talk about kids. So as a researcher, as a hobby anthropologist, which means I'm not an anthropologist, but I observe. When I watch what my kids give their attention to, it's largely media and games and interacting with a device, whether it's a video game or a YouTube video or Netflix or Hulu, a little bit of social media. They're a bit young, so they're not really engaged with social media as much as older kids. But I think a organization that wants to connect with a family or a child, first of all, needs to be very careful that they are adding value to the life of the child, which there's a lot of games now that are teaching kids to code or teaching them math or teaching them science or different skills, language skills, and I think that's amazing. But I think it's easier than ever to reach and capture the attention of children, but also there's a larger responsibility than ever because a child is giving up to 3/4 of their waking hours to a device. And I think that we need to make sure that we are thinking ahead. Like we have to think down the road, 15, 20 years and ask ourselves, how is the way that I'm interacting with this younger audience going to set them up for a better future?
That's good. Who is getting people's attention best today? So what organization is getting people's attention in the family sphere that you're like, I like it when this commercial gets me and my wife's attention. I like it when this device has my children's attention. Like, who's doing a good job?
Yeah. There's this game right now called Prodigy that is an interactive role-playing game that is essentially math meets World of Warcraft that my kids love to play. Every time I'm around them, they're, Dad, can I use your phone? Dad, can I play Prodigy? And they're just learning math.
That's cool.
They're actually defeating the monster or the boss by solving math problems in math equations. Yeah. So when I look at companies like that and what's happening with Prodigy and a lot of games in the similar space, I'm impressed that they are engaging with kids in a way that they want to learn. Right? We're not forcing them. They're asking for it.
Yeah, that's really, really good. What you're going to see in just a moment is a video of me interviewing Hope Seth here in Redding, California. This is at the Future of Shasta event. It was last year at Final Draft Brewery. And I want to thank, once again, Adam and Bart for hosting that event, the Future of Shasta. That was a really fun event. You were there with me, Bryant. And I interviewed Hope Seth about community, about family. And so I thought, since Brian and I are discussing family and the state of attention, and we're about to discuss the future of attention for families, I thought you might enjoy taking a look at this video of Hope Seth and I talking about family and community here where we're at today in Redding, California. I'll be right back with you in just a moment.
I believe that we're going to see the rise of the remote worker.
Yes.
We're going to see remote working. It's already happening, but we're going to see it to greater extents here. New talent base. There's going to be a new base of talent and skills. Rachel Hatch just even posted that she just met someone today who had blockchain technology, born, raised right here, and working on it from here. So I think we're going to discover a whole new talent base that's here. I think there's going to be an explosion of creativity that we're going to see. This is a very creative community, and I think we're going to see new endeavors and new places of creativity and a new skill level of excellence. Creativity inspires excellence. We're going to see a new wave of entrepreneurship. Small businesses, we see a lot of those small businesses, you know, we service them and we go, but I think we're going to see a different type of entrepreneurship, more risk, and more around the experience-based economy, where a lot of experiences and unique things we're going to see. I think we're going to see specialized training, hybrid models of education with traditional education with real skills that are going to produce high wage and skill training. Investors, you know, I really feel like we're going to start to draw. I think in 10 years, we're going to be amazed at the level of investment that we attract from the outside. They're going to start to notice what's happening here, and they're going to want to get in on it. I think our downtown momentum in 10 years is going to have leaked over and carried over into the neighborhoods. And we're going to see a revitalization of the neighborhoods adjacent to downtown, but I also feel like it's going to go over into Park Marina, and we'll see that then begin to take shape. And then finally, I just feel like we're going to be a model city that shows what cities can be like that are in the middle of transition. There are so many cities that are in our exact same scenario with high rates of unemployment or poverty, or they're more rural, they're not connected to a metropolitan area. And I really believe that in 10 years, they're going to be coming to us and say, what did you do? And almost in disbelief, like, I just can't even believe that that's where you were and here's where you've come to.
I love that. Does that resonate with all of you? Don't you think that's real? Can't we do that in 10 years? If we're patient, can't we do that? If we're consistent, if we don't give up, can't we achieve that? I think so. Who inspires you? Person, people, organization, like who you chasing after, who you listening to, who you following when they speak? You be quiet, you take notes. Who's your inspiration?
Yeah. You know, I really have come to really enjoy hearing the future scouts. I call them future scouts. They live in the community, but they are like on the edge of the future. I see them going out. They're like looking out over the community at what's being done outside, but they're part of our community, and they want to discover those things and bring them back to us. And I feel like it's so important as a community that we have really open minds and open arms to hear things that we haven't heard before and we haven't seen before, but others are on the edge. They're out there scouting what's coming down the road. Yeah. Future Scouts, in terms of real local, the McConnell Foundation, everything they do is with excellence. And if I was going to take one thing that they do is they do it with excellence. And I think as a community, we really have to, whenever we take on a project, we need to do it with excellence. Another really that I've been impressed with locally is the public sector. So education, healthcare, government, you know, you don't really think of those as kind of being, they have a really hard job. And as I've kind of gotten involved with it, it's like it all looks easy from the outside to have a solution until you're actually trying to work inside the boxes and confines that they have. So anyone who is inside that system that is looking innovatively and they're saying, how do we create out-of-the-box solutions, and how do we welcome out-of-the-box solutions, and how can we apply them?
Welcome to FutureCast's Attention Summit. My name is Ian Utilli. I'm here with my friend Bryant Jaquez, and what we're talking about right here right now is the future of attention regarding families. Bryant, what is the future of attention when it comes to family?
That is a great question. To be honest, I'm not sure I know exactly.
Nobody knows exactly
what the future is going to look like, but I think in the future, families are going to change the way that they interact with technology and what kids are giving their attention to. You know, you see a lot of, or we hear a lot of chatter about kids are spending too much time in front of screens, or a generation before me, it was in front of the TV, and a generation before them, it was probably, I don't know, with the record player or whatever it was. There's always something that the next generation is spending too much time in front of. And I think that is actually changing in a positive way. The narrative is shifting a little bit from it's bad that kids are spending too much time in front of a screen to we need to make sure what kids are spending their time doing with screens is positive. And so I've seen a trend in media companies changing the way that they're developing content for families and even bringing families together, like parents and kids playing games together, discovering emerging technologies together. I have a friend who's homeschooling his kids, and half of their curriculum is around development and engineering. He's teaching his kids how to build programs and software. So I think the state of attention in the future is just going to be a lot more intentional about making sure that we're using these devices, whatever format or operating system that ends up taking, to add value and to really accelerate the pace of technology ultimately.
How do you intend to get your kids' attention in 10 years, your grandkids' attention in 20, 30 years? How do you want your grandkids to get your attention, your great-grandkids in 40 and 50 years? Because it won't be the same way that I get my parents' attention, or my parents get my kids' attention. And part of it's going to be what you want, Brian. Like whatever it is you and your wife want, that will be most likely made available to you. So how do you want to interact family to family internally, getting each other's attention, influencing one another?
Well, actually, I like a lot of what you say about voice and the future of voice technology, because right now, the way that my grandparents get my attention is mostly through email, actually, which is a medium that I prefer not to interact with. If I don't have to open my inbox, then I'm not going to. Obviously, for work, often you have to, so it's more of a responsibility than something that I enjoy. But imagine if you could use your voice to interact with an assistant and just say, hey, share this with my granddaughter or whoever it is. And the voice assistant knows that the probably social platform that that generation is interacting with and the one that she spends the most time on, and it can just natively send a piece of content like either a video of me talking or a video of a baseball game or whatever I'm doing, however I'm spending my time, and send it directly to her on the platform that she's most comfortable interacting with. So I think that technology is going to enable generations to be more engaged in each other's lives.
Well, what you're about to see is a video of me wrapping up the Voice of the Car Summit in the broadcast studio at the NASDAQ Entrepreneurial Center in San Francisco. This is a couple months ago. It was the launch of VoiceFirst.tv, and I asked my parents to come up at the very, very, very end just to honor them and give them a chance to speak from a contractor and real estate agent's perspective on voice technology. And since we're talking family, I thought it'd be fun to introduce you to my family, my heroes, those that have cultivated my life and helped groom me into the man I am. And as I continue to grow, mature, and become more and more of who I am, I will always look back at my mom and dad as the primary people that have made me the best of who I am. And of course now my children in the same way, and those that I love that are part of my life. But at attention.live, ATTN.live, we are creating products for families to communicate with each other in ways like never thought before. So there'll be a lot more info on that very, very soon. But I always want to mention, like, hey, I'm not just talking about the future. My team of technologists are creating the future, and I am very, very excited to have your attention for a moment to tell you about that. Again, I hope you enjoyed this video of me and my parents at the NASDAQ Entrepreneurial Center. Bryant and I will be back in just a moment to discuss the sphere of business and the state of attention for businesses. I'm here at the NASDAQ Entrepreneurial Center at the Voice of the Car Summit. And I am here with my parents right now. To the left of your screen, the right of me, is my mom, Kim Utilli. She has been a real estate agent and so much more. Of course, an amazing grandmother of 6 grandboys. And me and my brother raising us, a teacher. But her primary thing has been a real estate agent, so she's always spending time on the road. And now all these changes are happening. I thought I'd love to hear what she thinks about voice technology in cars. To your right of me, or my left shoulder, is my father, Gary Utilli, who has always been and will continue to be my hero. The ultimate entrepreneur. Man, never had a job, never had a boss, never had help, has just made things happen and built people's home as a contractor. And again, as a contractor, a man that has driven from job site to job site to job site, ran crews, always having to use 2 hands and a steering wheel and 2 feet to drive a car. Now this thought of like, wow, could a truck drive him? And could he talk to that truck and it be a productivity machine? I thought, gosh, they just came in to say hello. I kind of grabbed them, maybe a little bit against their will, to come join me for a brief moment. So, first, Dad, my hero. So glad I'm your son.
Good boy.
Imagine your truck driving you in a few years and you being able to have conversations with your truck and telling it what to do, to order lumber from Big Creek, to tell the subcontractor to be here at this time. Like these types of productivity things happening for you and all the people that you've mentored and discipled in the trades over the years. How might that impact your industry?
Well, time is valuable, and when I'm in the truck, it's nice to be useful. I'm already using the phone with hands off, which is valuable also. To take it to another level would be great. And of course, I feel like a dinosaur just trying to catch up with the technology because it's moving so fast. But yeah, it would be an asset, and I would use it.
So for everybody out there making technology for contractors, here's your case study. Okay, Mom, real estate agent for decades and decades. You spend so much time on the road meeting with your clients. What would it be like to have a productivity machine that takes you from place to place? How would that transform things for you as a real estate agent, or as you think of the next generation that is able to, as Dad said, to save time because time is so valuable?
Time is so valuable, and once the time is gone, we don't get it back. So I would love to see this come to fruition so that any of us that have to spend the hours as a realtor that I do in my vehicle or in front of my computer, if I could speak to set up appointments, make contact, and not necessarily have to get my phone, make a phone call, leave a message, but use my voice to set up my appointments, make sure my clients are happy, be more productive. Just be more productive with the time that I have. That would be so wonderful. I would love that.
And so this is it for me in the broadcast studio for this event. You're going to see so much more content from Voice First TV. One thing I want to express to you is how important it is for all you young people that are young startup people that are trying to be new VUI designers or the new big app company in voice. Do you ask your elders what they think? They're there for you. They want to help you. They want to give you insight in how voice can transform construction or real estate. And they even want to throw the Google Frisbee at the camera. So, Dad, take it away. Here comes a video. Next thing you know, Katie's on the main stage. Over and out. Welcome to the FutureCast, Attention Summit. My name is Ian Utilli, and I'm glad for your attention. This is my friend Brian Taquez. We're going to talk about the state of attention. Let's just say attention a few times. Attention.
Yeah, attention.
What's your favorite way of saying the word attention?
ATTN.live.
That is my favorite way too. ATTN.
Go there.
Live. Attention. What's the state of attention today for business? Talk to me. You're a great storyteller.
Thank you. Yeah, in my opinion, stories are the best way to capture attention. I think in the landscape of an over-communicated to society, stories are one of the only ways that you can actually capture and retain the attention of an audience.
Yeah.
Researchers have found that memories are actually encoded in a story, in storytelling. And stories can take multiple forms inside of our brain. Whether it's an experience, like I experienced the story myself, I encountered the story, like the time I was hijacked on my honeymoon. I'm always going to remember being hijacked on an airplane because I lived the story, but also telling stories. If I were to talk about the Barnum Circus, anybody who's seen The Greatest Showman instantly has a visualization of what that looked like, what that felt like, why it was important. It was a great movie. Isn't that such a good story? It's such a great story. But that's the power of stories.
Just caught up in the story right now.
Stories encode emotions into our mind and our memory and our imagination, and they influence the way that we feel and even the decisions that we make.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about business and the state of attention, I think today it's more important than ever that businesses become great storytellers. That businesses, and even narrative, which is more important potentially than a single story, because narrative is the overarching reputation or the greater story that's being told about a company. Like if we rewind last year and somebody were to say Facebook, the narrative that the media at least was talking about was scandal and privacy and technology and everything that happened with the elections. And brands need to become a lot more intentional about shaping the narrative that people are connecting to themselves, their industry, their company, the products that they're releasing. And the way that you do that is by consistently telling stories that support the greater narrative. And you do it by getting in front of people again and again and again and again on every platform wherever people want to interact with you.
Yeah.
And I think that is the future of attention. Well, even that is the current state of attention, but it's also the future.
How about for freelancer compared to a small business compared to an enterprise? Like speak to those three different categories when it comes to getting attention. Today.
Well, I think sometimes being small is an advantage. It allows you to be agile and to make decisions. Like we're in a studio in Reading, and we drove up here, set up a few cameras, pulled a team together last minute, and went live. And now we're interacting with a live audience, and the videos will be on the archive on the internet forever, probably. And I think that for freelancers, it's actually very easy to get attention. You just have to be willing to go online.
That's good.
Hit record, create a video, post a picture, write a caption, engage in the conversation, basically. Go on LinkedIn, find something that you're interested in and respond to a comment. For large companies, it's harder, but also they have more resources, so that's a benefit. For large companies, I think that in order for them to capture attention, they need to do things that actually matter. Like it's not about them. They can't just tell the story of themselves. They have to add value to society in a way that is equivalent to when Red Bull went to space. They jumped out of a spaceship. They went skydiving out of a spaceship. Like that is ridiculous, but also phenomenal. And I think that brands need to do, I watched the live stream from my kitchen. I think brands need to be willing to do things that are on that level, not necessarily an adventure or risk taking, but whatever sphere of society they're in, they need to be willing to do things that have never been done before.
It's really good. Well, we are going to be back in just a moment. Right now, we're going to show a video of Sarah Blinko when I interviewed her at the Future of Blockchain event last year inside the Twitter headquarters building at the Runway Innovation Hub. And I hope that you enjoy this clip of our conversation as much as I enjoyed having it. Call up Sarah Blinko. She's the founder of Dual Stream Technology in Narwhal. You are also the recruiter of many of the amazing speakers. Thank you for doing that. You're an advisor for our mutual friend Peter Garrett, his company EdgeSmart. He's one that introduced us. So I hope that you can weave in some of the cool things that you're working on. But first, share the big, decade vision for this industry, please.
So I think it might sound like an echo chamber in here. We're finding the value behind blockchains, which are the ability and the opportunity for humans to have control of their private data and to put governments, public spending, nonprofits on blockchains so that we can hold them accountable for what they take from us, and then we can provide ourselves privacy within the space. I think within the blockchain world, we're going to see massive amounts of change and testing. So many companies will think that they need a blockchain and they may not. Within the next 10 to 12 years, I think the conversation will change from win Lambo to where and when will my local government be held accountable for its spending? And that's a great use case for blockchains, which people will push forward as they understand the implications of transparency on blockchains.
I love it. What person or organization is doing this well? Who are you kind of looking to that's driving us toward this vision?
Wow. There are so many amazing companies and people in this space. Just to name a few, our company and my team at Dual Stream Technology, we're at the intersection of artificial intelligence and human intelligence. So we work to keep humans in the loop so that AI and machine learning, as they become more trusted, are continually fed back with human input. Edge Mobile, which is a dynamic payment card, which will reduce the amount of credit cards that you hold in your pocket to one, which will allow for average everyday users to spend cryptocurrency in real time. Ubiquity is a company that does land titles, deeds, and property titles on the blockchain, which will allow for personal property rights to be documented. Shapeshift, with Eric Voorhees, has been an amazing entrepreneur in this space with huge transparency within his customer base. There's just so many companies and so many great people. If you follow me on Twitter, all of the people that I follow are people that you should follow. So if you follow me, it's at Miss Satoshi.
That's great. Miss Satoshi, fun. So how about in the next year? Like, what do you think the blockchain ecosystem, what could this room accomplish? What could the folks that are watching online, all the you world changers out there, what could they accomplish in this industry in the next year?
I think in the next year, we're going to see who really needs a blockchain and who needs a database and who may need more like a gossip protocol. We're going to see a lot of companies want to get in with skin in the game, and if they have a use case for providing transparency, like a nonprofit would need a blockchain to incentivize people to donate to it, because I know that the money that I donated is actually getting to the person that I donated it to instead of lining the pockets of those that are in the middle. I think those types of examples are going to skyrocket. You're still going to get examples of people testing the waters and seeing if blockchains are useful for other things, and they may fail. And each entrepreneur, each person should look at those and learn from what was a failed entity and move forward with that.
That's great. You're involved in so many different organizations. What is something that people in this room and watching
By the way, for those watching, thanks for your attention. We're glad that you tuned in. Stay with us. You'll learn a lot. What can people do based on what you've shared? Like, what's the call to action?
I think the main lesson that I've learned in the last few years of being in blockchain, I got in really early, 2011, when it was just developers, and I would show up at meetups and they were like, "What are you doing here? You are bothering us." Remember, remember to stay curious. Don't be scared to say that you don't know the answer. Ask the questions which other people aren't. What is your real world use case? How will this affect my mother or my grandmother? Those questions need to be asked to the developers that are building the system so they understand where the real world is. My main thing within this whole technology, blockchain industry of transparency is continually be curious. Do not think that because your token is up or your portfolio is up that you're a genius. All people look like geniuses in bull markets. Yeah.
Welcome to FutureCast. This is the Attention Summit. That's what we're calling it. My name is Ian Utilli, and I want to talk to you about this coin. This is not a Bitcoin. It only resembles one. And this is a $2 New Zealand coin. Now, what's crazy is that 10 years ago, somebody used 10,000 Bitcoins to buy one pizza. I have a friend that used dozens of Bitcoins to buy a t-shirt, and today a Bitcoin is worth $8,000. 10 years ago, this New Zealand $2 coin was worth $2, and today this New Zealand $2 coin is worth $2. Some things never change, and some things drastically change. And we're talking about the future of attention when it comes to business, which I think is going to drastically change. Bryant, talk to me a bit about how the future of attention is going to change over the course of the next decade for businesses, regardless if it's an enterprise, a small business, or a freelancer.
Well, I think businesses are going to have to reimagine the way that they are engaging with their customers and their audience. I think it'll change a little bit industry to industry, but ultimately will be a higher requirement or demand that people are going to have to change, I think, the reason that people interact with brands is changing. Like people want to interact with brands that are making their lives easier, removing friction, making things cheaper, making things more accessible. I mean, we have Amazon that is going to fly drone, package delivery. I think that in order for a brand to earn the attention of a future consumer, they're going to have to be willing to do outlandish things in order to be competitive. And I think any company that is just enjoying the status quo or sitting back and hoping that they can ride a niche and just keep bringing in the dollars but not innovate and not invest in R&D and not, it would be like somebody who says, well, I don't really need to invest in blockchain because that doesn't have anything to do with my industry, or I don't really need to invest in AR or voice or VR, whatever it is. Like, well, you don't have to invest in that this year. You're not going to go out of business, but if you don't start investing in it soon, then you'll go out of business. And I think that is the state of attention across the board.
Yeah, it's good. We are going to take a quick break, and we're just going to show you a time lapse or a hyperlapse or drone footage, all sorts of different elements from Reading, where we're live streaming from right now. And we'll be back. And when we come back, we're going to talk about education. And so that is what is next, is diving into education and the state of attention for the education industry today. So it's not a video we're showing. This is going to be a very quick little break for about 1 minute. We'll see you in just a moment. Welcome to FutureCast's Attention Summit. My name is Ian Utilli, and I'm glad that you're here with me. And I am glad I'm here with you, Bryant Jaquez, my co-host for today. We're going to talk about the state of attention for the education industry. You have 5 kids.
It'll be fun.
You know, you are at the age that you've gone through a lot of your education, but you also are an educator.
Right.
So talk to me. What is the state of attention today for education?
Yeah, it's changing. Finally, fortunately.
Yep.
I am an educator of sorts. I teach storytelling workshops. So I teach brands how to effectively tell stories that capture attention and influence consumers and culture. And I think, you know, even in my industry, the way that people do business needs to shift. We need to go back to the drawing board. And a lot of my competitors, for example, teach storytelling workshops. Usually it's like $20,000 a workshop, which is only accessible to like the top 1% of 1% of brands, like Google, Amazon, you know, maybe Uber. And there are maybe 4 or 5 storytelling firms out of San Francisco and around the world that teach workshops like that. Well, that would be equivalent to like somebody going to Harvard.
Yeah.
Like 1% of 1% of people can afford to go to Harvard. And it's not okay if the people who are teaching at Harvard actually have information that can make the world a better place. But they're saying the only people who are allowed to live in a better world are people whose parents can afford, you know, $100,000 a year or whatever it is. To go to Harvard. And it's the same with education in general. I think people need to be willing to add value to society. Like what happens if somebody is like me, who teaches storytelling, is willing to just go on Instagram Live and start to talk about storytelling? If what I have is so valuable that it's going to help people, then people are going to see what I'm talking about and either hire me or they won't. And if they don't, it doesn't matter. It didn't hurt my business. It didn't hurt my life. And if they do, then great. And I think that across the board, everybody is going to have to reimagine the way that they're doing education.
Yeah. How about for, you know, our friends that are younger? Like you and I have a lot of younger friends that are late teens, early 20s. Education's a big deal for them right now. Like as they finish high school, do they go to college? Does college have value today? Why or why not? What are the pressures? I mean, I think what's going to be interesting is we're going to take a quick break and we come back as we think about the future of attention for education. You know, I'll mention one thing for those that are watching. Right now, you can go to Creative Live or Coursera.org, and both of them have 10 million students. Most of their courses are free. And if you want to learn, it just takes grit and hustle, determination and drive, and you can master any sort of knowledge, really for free. And so there's nothing that keeps you from becoming a master of a certain craft And I'm very excited to talk about the future of education. This little short video we're going to show is an interview I did for the Future of the Bay last year with my friends Katie and Enhow, who run the Female Founder School, which I'm very fortunate to be an advisor for them and the women that are part of the Female Founder School. So I thought you'd enjoy this quick interview, and then Bryant and I will be back in just a moment to talk about the future of attention regarding the education sphere.
In the next 10 years, the Bay Area will be more prosperous.
Yeah.
And this will be because the technology industry will be leading the way in inclusion. We'll see more diverse executive teams. We'll see company practices and hiring practices that are more inclusive. And we'll see a broader breadth of needs met and problem solved. And this will lead to better financial results and more market opportunities.
And this is why we are starting the Female Founder School, because underrepresented founders are the source of this prosperity. From our experiences, when I first started as a founder who did not know what she was doing, I wasted a lot of time on ideas and spent a lot of money. And what I realized is that until I came to Runway and got the mentorship and support I needed, I was just spinning my wheels. And this is why we want to bring the framework, the mindset, the network to not only later stage founders who have the money and the support, financial support, but the really, really early stage, idea stage founders who will change this industry for the next decade.
That's great. That's right. And the Female Founder School is a 3-month-long program to equip aspiring female founders with the tools and the connections to enable them to test their ideas and start companies.
And you have one going on right now.
That's right.
And Jackie Sino's a part of it.
That's right.
You know, we both think Jackie's a hero, right? We've talked about how inspirational Jackie's been to us personally, and I'm so happy that she's connected with you. We're
lucky to have her, absolutely.
Yeah, she's lucky to have you and vice versa. Now, you already have your first cohort launched, and you're going to be doing these regularly. So if there's a woman that's in the audience, if there's a woman that's watching online live or the archive, like how can they get involved? What would make them qualify? What does it take to get in the club?
Sure. Well, first I would say that everyone should be part of this movement. Everyone has a role to play when it comes to supporting underrepresented founders. Whether you're a mentor, whether you're an executive, whether you're a student or an investor, we all have unique experiences, unique insights, talents, qualities, decision-making power that we can bring to bear on creating a more inclusive technology ecosystem.
Specifically, in terms of if you are interested in being a founder, whether or not you're ready to quit that daytime job. And by the way, we have plenty of founders in our program. It's actually designed for women who are actually working full-time. Or if you're a mother who has multiple things to juggle, we want to bring that framework and all the support to you. And so it is created with that in mind. And then the other thing that I touched a little bit up on earlier is that you're never too early, because a lot of the frameworks that's in place that we're familiar with, especially in Silicon Valley, it's really for founders who already have that MVP, who already have that traction. That's when you're getting the financial support and the accelerator support. People are giving you money. But in the early stages, no, it's just you. You're just by yourself. Or maybe you've finagled a friend to help you with this idea. But ultimately, we realize how important it is to really support the true early stage founders, because the pipeline problem cannot be solved if you're only supporting people who've already had the financial support to build that MVP, right? And so from our perspective, if you're sitting home and you have an idea and want to be a founder, go on femalefounderschool.com and write to us, like apply. We'd love to talk to you. And it really doesn't matter where your idea is, because we believe that the power of underrepresented founders is that they're saying, as Katie was saying earlier, they're seeing problems that aren't being seen before, and they're coming up with solutions that are not being addressed in Silicon Valley because we're such a homogenous place. And so, anyone, and the other thing is, if you don't necessarily see yourself as being a founder, I encourage you to use your financial power. We're seeing now more than ever that women are becoming more financially independent. And a lot of times, the money that you're spending doing your day job is just going to your savings account or checking account, and maybe you're investing it a little bit. But we want to encourage more women to see, and men as well, allies, to see the power of their money and how it can go towards supporting these early stage founders. Because right now, 95% of venture capitalist institutions are men. And so if you see the power in these underrepresented founders, go mentor them, go have a conversation with them, and even maybe invest a little of your savings with them.
That's great.
Welcome to FutureCast's Attention Summit. My name is Ian Utilli. I'm here with my friend Bryant Jaquez, and we are live from Redding, California. We're talking about education, the future of attention for education. I hope you enjoyed that video we just showed, and now we're going to dive in. So what is it, Bryant? What is the future of education like? I would say it's free, it is decentralized, and the educators will be compensated based on the impact they make on the students, and the students will be given access to education based on the way that they honor, respect, value, and compensate the educators, but the access will be free. The continued access may not be. You know, it's been said, your gift can get you in the door, but it's your integrity and it's your hard work that gets you to stay in. I think they'll be the same way with education. So talk to me. What do you think? What do you think the future of education is going to be like for attention?
Yeah, I think the future of education is going to be a lot more experiential. It's going to be a lot more hands-on. Some might call it apprenticeships, but essentially just training people how to do things. And like you said, it will probably start free. So imagine if there is a contractor that's willing to teach somebody how to build a house for free. So I will allow you to intern, I guess, or apprenticeship with my company. I'm going to teach you how to build houses.
I'm in. Thanks, bro.
But you're going to build houses for my clients. And I'm not going to pay you yet. And then after you graduate, there would be some kind of an arrangement where every house that you build for the next couple of years, probably, I'm compensated on the back end for that. That type of system creates a world in which anybody who's willing to put in the work to learn can learn, and people are probably making more money, honestly, long term, if you have the ability to teach large groups of students, and all of the students are out making money and giving you a percentage of it or compensating you appropriately based on what you taught them. Educators are, I think, afraid right now of this trend towards free. It's the same thing that happened with the music industry, right? Like everyone's streaming to Spotify, the labels got really nervous and they're afraid of losing jobs and losing money ultimately. And I understand the fear, but at the end of the day, I think we just need to get more creative. I don't think we're giving ourselves enough credit. Like, we're capable of coming up with different out-of-the-box solutions for interacting in the future. We don't have to hold on to the past.
I love that. I love that. Well, we're going to be back with our very final segment. That's going to be on government.
That'll be fun.
And we're going to talk about the state of attention today for government, and then we'll transition to government to come. And so what you're going to see is a brief, beautiful video of Redding, and we'll be back in about 1 minute to jump into government. Welcome to FutureCast. This is the Attention Summit. My name is Ian Utilli. And this is Bryant Jaquez. And we're grateful for your attention. We're going to talk about government. And this was one of the segments we were most excited about. We've been keeping it very short up to this point, but we're actually going to dive in and take our time. Get a nice little rhythm going. So we'll probably talk about the state of attention for government for the next 8 or so minutes. Now, I was just at Consensus in New York City, largest blockchain event in the world. Ron Paul was there, who I voted for in 2008, 2012. Andrew Wang was there, who is one of the primary kind of dark horse candidates, you might say, for this upcoming election. And it got me thinking a lot about the state of attention right now, right here, when it comes to government. Can you just kind of share your thoughts? Like, what is the state of attention for politics, for government today?
Yeah. Well, I think politicians are more visible and accessible than they've ever been.
Yep.
I think that, Obama was probably the first to really leverage social media to interact with a new demographic. At the time, it was Facebook. And, today it's different. But I think definitely in the future, but also in the upcoming elections, I think the politicians that are going to create the biggest impact are going to be the ones who know how to capture attention in new media, and it's not even new anymore, right? But it's just not traditional media channels.
Yep.
I think actually remember back to, do you remember Carly Fiorina? Is that, am I saying her name right? She said something that I personally loved. And, obviously she wasn't even somebody that you could vote for, but in the debates, she talked a lot about imagining a future where a president could walk into the press room and say, America, I want you to vote on this topic. We're trying to make a decision. And everybody in America had an app that they could open up that was secure, probably built on blockchain. And you could vote yes or no. And almost bringing democracy back to the democratic, nation that we are, and giving people everywhere a chance to add their voice to a conversation.
Yeah.
I think that is the state of attention for government and the way that we need to be thinking about capturing attention for government.
Who is getting attention today in a way that you find encouraging and you're like, I love the way this political figure or this government organization gets attention? And who is getting attention today with an old method that even though maybe they think it works, it's not working for you.
Sure.
Maybe it's not working for me. So as far as state of attention goes, who's doing a great job? Not to glorify them. Who's maybe could do better, not to demonize them, but just say, hey, here's kind of the state of what I'm seeing in the political and government arena right now.
Yeah. I'm actually going to flip the question on you.
Okay.
Just because we've had so many conversations.
I'm ready.
And I know how you're going to answer it, but I
don't.
Well,
I never know what I'm going to say.
That's true. Now I'm excited. But like some of the conversations you've had with the current candidates, I would love for you to talk about the new technologies that they're leveraging.
Okay.
And explain how that's going to make an impact.
Well, I remember when Obama went after the youth through social media. I was with the digital agencies that were working on that campaign. I've always liked Obama as a person. I think he's a really great example of a husband and a father. I'm really grateful for his strengths. He and I did not align on a lot of the political agendas and whatnot, so that's why I voted for Ron Paul. Not him, 2008, 2012. I was very fascinated by Donald Trump, in many ways kind of opposite to Obama in not likable at mass scale when it comes to media. I imagine he's probably a very likable person, face to face, but not likable necessarily through some of his stuff he does. But I'm probably a bit more aligned with some of his agenda policies, I guess. Not all, but some. I thought it was very interesting the way that he basically revived Twitter. It's like, wow. I really, really don't like how he
brought it back.
Yeah, yes. I struggle with how he demonizes and glorifies people. I think he makes tribes. I'm not a big fan of the way that he's created tribalism. But I'm not walking in his shoes, so whatever. It's all good. It's just my personal opinion. As I look at, like Andrew Yang right now, I'm like really, really impressed by how he's getting the world's attention because, and he's a guy that is likable, very funny. Some of the things that he wants to accomplish, I like. Some things I don't. But as far as an attention getter, he got on Breakfast Club. He got on Joe Rogan. Right, he went to Consensus and talked on stage at the biggest blockchain event in the world. He is going to the places where people are at, speaking directly to them, very confident, yet still has like that kind of humble thing going on, which is hard to embody both, but I feel like he embodies both fairly well. So those are two people, but even like Hillary Clinton, man, there's a lot that I liked about her. I think she's like one of the all-time politicians. There's a lot I don't like about her, but I can find a lot of things to be impressed by. The way that she's gotten the world's attention decade after decade after decade after decade, stayed in the limelight, stayed in front of people, gotten people to understand her agenda. I think the biggest problem is that people want to glorify Obama and Hillary, demonize guys like Donald Trump, Ron Paul, or whatever. I just think it's a bad idea. I think the state of attention today is that you can get anybody's attention for free. Like in 2013, I peaked on social media with 52 million impressions in one day for free, no advertising. That was 2013. That was just me in my home office, just tinkering around with different growth hacks. Imagine what somebody can do today, 6 years later. It's phenomenal. And then you have organizations like, I really hope that some of the independent political government organizations rise up and really make an impact. It's not just the Republican or Democrat Party here in the States, not just the Labour Party or Conservative Party in UK, but that independent organizations start gaining people's attention. If you were called in to tell the story for the Libertarian Party, for the 2020 election, which we'll say that's the state of attention today. What's one big shift that you'd make towards storytelling that's not being done today?
I think that's a great question. I think the thing that people don't understand about storytelling, politicians included, is that stories need to be told through the lens of the audience. It really has nothing to do with the politician. Just like with a brand. Like a brand isn't the hero of a story. Well, the candidate's not the hero of the political race. It needs to be told through the lens of the pain points and the struggles and the desires in the lives of their constituents and the people that they're trying to serve. And obviously, to a degree, there are political narratives that campaign teams will try to craft to tell that story. But it's telling when it's shocking that a candidate will go to a tech conference because that's rare. And that tells me that it shouldn't be rare. But if it's surprising for a political candidate to go to a tech conference, and that means most political candidates don't understand that sphere of society. And if you don't understand society, how are you going to speak to your unfulfilled needs or desires? How are you going to tell stories about the pain points in the lives of the everyday citizen if you don't even know the citizen that you're telling stories about? So I would invest heavily in research and outreach and building relationships and connections with people in sectors of culture that they're not familiar with.
That's good.
When you have, the Mark Zuckerberg hearing, and the media made a lot of jokes about like people asking questions and not understanding the politicians, not understanding how Facebook works and not understanding how the internet works or some of these other permissions. It's not surprising that, like my grandparents don't necessarily understand everything that my kids are going to understand because it's different generations. But at the same time, I think it should be surprising if the people who are leading us don't understand us.
Yeah.
And if you don't understand us, then you can't tell our story.
Yeah.
So that's the main shift that I would recommend.
Yep. Well, we're going to be right back in just a moment, and we will be talking about our final segment, which is the future of attention for government. We're going to transition to a brief video. This is me and my friend Rob. He is the founder of Goldfinger. He runs that out of New York and really all over the world. He has a chapter even in Puerto Rico. He and I are talking about moving Goldfinger to the San Francisco Bay Area. It's a organization that connects significant investors looking for deal flow and deploying capital with successful entrepreneurs that are raising money and building successful companies. And so Rob and I had a fun talk at his event in New York in his very building that he does his events at. So it's a beautiful place. I think you'll enjoy the brief conversation that Rob and I had. And then Bryant and I will be back in just a moment to finish up our conversation on this Attention Summit. I'm here with my friend Rob at Goldfinger in New York, and I'm really excited to share what Rob does here at Goldfinger in his club Vinyl. And so, Rob, I just thought we could have a conversation. You and I have talked about this. Yep. I've been wanting to come here. Obviously, I have a lot of friends that could be potential great for pitching, and I have friends that would love the deal flow. Yep. Can you just tell me, like, what is this environment? What is this space? What are you creating tonight?
Okay. First off, thank you, Ian, for having me, and much appreciated. And it was great connecting with you recently, and I know we're going to do a lot of stuff together.
Yeah.
So first off, my name is Rob Charles. I'm founder and CEO of Goldfinger. We are the first in the digital members-only club space.
Yeah.
We started in 2014. A little background about myself. I've been an entrepreneur for 25 years, tech entrepreneur for 23 years. I started investing back in 2003. Originally, so investing for 15, 16 years. And what I've found through the years is there's inefficiencies in the investment community and also in the entrepreneur community. Everything is siloed, and really, like LinkedIn, Facebook, all this stuff, that doesn't really do it justice. There's still inefficiencies in that, meaning you got to meet in person, you got to see eye to eye, you got to develop relationships.
That's right.
The world is developed on relationships, and it's actually people that power everything, and it's all in trust and integrity. And so what we've done is created a club where we vet the founders and CEOs, we vet the investors, we vet the deals, we vet the influencers, thought leaders, and connectors into an ecosystem we call a mastermind network.
Right.
And it gives you access, everyone access, and exponential value to accelerate both their personal life and their business.
Yeah.
So what I found is everyone needs capital, first off. A lot of times they need capital because they think they take capital to deploy it to different resources. However, if you've been doing it for a long time and you're an entrepreneur, you can be creative. Sometimes you do need some capital, but if you're able to access those resources in a community and everyone's helping each other, it's actually quite effective. So we have an ethos that give first add value. We have 11 principles. It's based on, the first is the mastermind principle. Whenever two more minds come together, a third mind is created. The key is aligned in harmony. A third mind is created, which is exponentially greater than the sum of its parts. Real simple concept, been going on for centuries. It's not a new concept, proven effective. And what we've done is modernize this whole thing. And even, so really what Goldfinger is about people and relationships. So we have a monthly Deal Club Summit at our club at Vinyl. We're actually the first that I'm aware of in the digital members only club space that actually has a full system, social network, investment deals, events and partner events, as well as a physical location. And we're now scaling to, we opened in Puerto Rico about a month and a half ago.
Right.
We just did an event there last week. We closed actually a couple of deals there.
It's amazing.
That presented about a month and a half ago. We're opening Tel Aviv this summer. June 29th, we're launching in London. Hong Kong, we're launching membership. When I say membership, we're running decentralized chapters in these different cities. We're launching Hong Kong in September, Q3, Q4, San Francisco with you, and LA as well. And then we're just connecting the dots in the investment community and entrepreneur community.
Now, if somebody is coming here because they're looking for deal flow, what's the right type of investor that you want in the room to be able to expose them to? Like, for instance, tonight there's 8 different deals.
Yeah.
So what type of investor do you want upstairs, rubbing shoulders with the founders that are going to consider actually following through and placing some capital, deploying it?
Well, originally we started a couple years ago, when we first started our deal clubs, meaning the first times we had our deal club summits. We started primarily with angels, but now we've moved into, we're still heavy with angels, and now more VCs and funds, as well as family offices. And we started with seed and A rounds. Now we're moving to, we want to offer the whole life cycle, so seed, A, B, and C. And because it's, it's really about, a lot of times companies, you have the investors that will come in early, and then the early adopters, and then a lot of times investors are looking and developing relationships, watching to see if the company gets off the ground for a year or two, and then they're coming in later, right? So what we're really offering is this whole ecosystem of ongoing relationships, and I think we have 8 billionaires that are members now, but also we've onboarded about 25 founding partners in the last 2 weeks, different VCs and funds from Israel to Hong Kong to Puerto Rico to New York, and we're aggressively adding more and more founding partners.
Right. Welcome to FutureCast's Attention Summit. My name is Ian Utilli. This is my friend, Bryant Hawkes.
Hello, Ian.
We are going to do our very final segment.
Welcome back.
I feel so welcomed by you.
I'm sad this is going to end.
This is going to end. This is our 14th conversation. Micro conversations, everybody. If you're going to go live, just do everybody a favor. Don't talk for 4 hours. That's a bad idea. Take some breaks. Show some videos. Like, show some hyperlapse. Do anything to break it up, man. It's a long time. Got to keep it moving. Keep it alive. So, we're going to talk about the future of attention for government. You have my full undivided attention. I can't wait to hear your thoughts on how our politicians, government leaders, government officials. First of all, let me just say, I don't even know if we'll have government as it is today in 10 years. I think we're going to have much smaller tribes. And I think attention is going to be earned, not forced upon. So talk to me a bit about your thoughts.
Yeah, I think the future of government in all things, including attention, is going to be personalized. So you're calling them tribes. I would say that people will be able to interact with government in a much more personalized to my needs, even my city, right? My end goal, most people don't know this, my closest friends and now the world.
You're welcome.
Hello, world.
You're welcome, world.
Is to build a company that builds cities. So the official term is charter cities. They're like special economic zones. But did you know that cities always have a greater output than the input it takes to build them? So cities are always more economically productive than the capital it takes to build the city itself. So around the world, in other countries, not so much America yet, but in other countries, there's companies that are treating city building and city development like venture capitalists are treating investing in startups.
Wow.
And so my end goal is to run one of these companies that build cities. Let's build a city.
I know 2 places I want to start.
Do you guys want to build a city with us?
Oh, time out. Time out.
Email me.
No.
We'll build a city.
We are going to work on this for a while. And when we wrapped our head around it together, then
I'm just letting you know it's coming.
I want to build a city. Okay, keep going. 'Cause I'm going to tell you the couple places I want to build a city at.
Okay.
I'm totally pumped about
We're going to do it. We're going to build
it.
a city. But a charter city is where the city has a set of rules that says this is what our value system is, this is what we believe in, this is what we stand for, and then people get to decide if they want to buy in. So you don't have to live there. But if you do, it's a special economic zone, so the laws that apply to you are different than the people who live in San Jose or Puerto Rico or wherever. Where you get to decide the government that you interact with. And because of the way that technology is starting to bring accountability and transparency and privacy and trust back into governments, we'll have the ability to govern or steward, maybe, like you and Brock were talking about, smaller communities, all with their different permissions and different rules and different regulations. And regulation itself will actually have more to do with making it easier to remove bad laws than it does in trying to be a bottleneck to make it harder to create new laws.
Yeah, I love the idea of city building. I think that's super cool. Like where I live in Santa Cruz County, there's Watsonville, Capitola, Santa Cruz, and Scotts Valley. But then there's a bunch of incorporated parts of the city, or of the county, that should be their own cities, that would drastically improve the areas that people live in. And I've thought to myself, gosh, it'd be so amazing to like launch one of the cities in this place. Reading, Reading, Shasta City, Anderson. But there's a ton of unincorporated parts of Shasta County.
I live in one, Palisadro.
Yep, Palisadro. It's like Palisadro could be an epic city with its own fire station, its own police department, its own sidewalks, its own schools, and all those different things that come with a city, and then create the output, So no, that's super, super cool. Final thoughts on the future of attention for government or for anything
in general.
Like just final thoughts, I guess. We can just transition to kind of like, what's the wrap? What's your goodbye world for this specific event? It was fun.
It was.
This is my final thoughts. There's your camera right there.
Okay.
Talk to the camera. Tell the camera what you think.
Camera.
Yes.
People, good people.
Good people.
Of the internet. I think the future of attention is shortening the distance between you, whether that's a nonprofit, a faith organization, a government, education, business, whatever it is. It's removing the distance between you and the people that you're interacting with and the people that you're trying to reach. There's more consistency. There's more vulnerability. It's hard to go online. This isn't scripted. We jumped in front of a camera. I didn't know what Ian was going to ask me, and he didn't know what I was going to say. Kept us on the edge of our seats. But it requires a level of vulnerability, but also it requires businesses being willing to change their business models, being willing to release media without charging the end consumer to buy a newspaper subscription, for example, or release news without having to have a cable TV account. It requires Hollywood to reimagine what they're doing, music industry to reimagine what they're doing, government to be more connected and accountable to the people. Attention is going to be earned by those who are willing to do things differently. So I would encourage everybody who's listening to take that seriously, to take this as a challenge or charge. Go to your boardroom, call a meeting, have a brainstorming session, gather your most trusted advisors together, and ask the question, like in the future, if attention is earned by those who are willing to be in front of people more consistently and put content out in a different way, how are we going to do that? How are we going to build for the future?
It's awesome.
And that's it. And Ian, thank you for having me. This was my pleasure to be here. Had a blast.
So fun. I'll be back in just 1 minute, and I'll be wrapping up our time and giving my final thoughts on the state of attention, the future of attention, and then we'll end with one final video with my friend Rachel from the very first event I did at the Future of Tech. I'll see you in just one moment. My name is Ian Utilli. This is the end of the FutureCast Attention Summit. I have been a technologist, not the programming coder type, although I guess I started building websites 25 years ago, but I've been a technologist of the sales, strategy, promotion type for my career of 20 plus years. A couple years ago, I realized that attention was drastically shifting. I feel like I've been ahead of the curve most of the time. You know, I probably sent out 1 billion emails by 2015. I kind of ended the email thing then. I was huge on social media. I was massive on MySpace and Friendster and stuff 10 plus years ago. I was an influencer back then before I reeled back and stopped the focus on social media influence. And as I started to think about how the world's changing, you know, I really strongly believe in a Jetsons Star Trek type of future, not a future of Black Mirror, Electric Dreams, Alita, Blade Runner, Terminator, all these dystopic things. And I started to think, well, I don't want to just be a futurist just declaring what could be, but I want to be the type of futurist that works with other amazing, brilliant people to build what could be. And a lot of my focus has been attention. I want to impact culture. I want to impact you live. I want to impact you that watch this archive or this 15-second Instagram swipe up video or the 60-second Twitter box video with the transcription. Like whoever you are and whenever you're watching, I want your attention so I can influence you to think the way that I think about things, because I have a very positive, optimistic, hopeful outlook on where things are going. I believe that if you shared my perspective, you would then start to manifest my perspective as I am. I don't want to just be a talker, though. I want to be a builder. And so I'm working on something called attention.live, ATTN.LIVE. And that product is the manifest output of what I've learned the last 2 years doing 20 or something events. You know, this is kind of the last event I have scheduled, except for a blockchain event in July and a voice event in August, but this is kind of the last of this series of events. And, you know, what I've learned in the market research I've been doing and all the questions I've been asking is what the world wants. And I believe very strongly that the world wants the product that my team and I are developing. So I'm going to end this with something that I recently wrote. Not normal for me to read something, but I feel like as we're ending this attention thing, this makes a lot of sense. And so this is how I'm going to end the time. I'm going to read this, and then when I'm done reading it, we're going to transition to the final video, which is my friend Rachel, who is an advisor to the mayor of Bristol in the UK. And so this is something that I recently wrote with some friends, and you know, it's not, of course, it's not going to be as powerful as what Steve Jobs did for, you know, Think Different, and, you know, to the crazy ones, you know, that's very, very powerful. Maybe this is, but the same kind of intention to stir up people to think about what's coming next around attention and controlling your life and having control over your time and your money and your community. So here it is. I'm going to ask a few questions and then share a few statements. Do you feel in control of your own destiny? Do you spend time on what makes you feel alive? Do you earn enough money to do more than just survive? Do you feel deeply connected to other people that are helping you to thrive? Technology drives human progress, allowing mankind to make and remake the world for greater authority over our lives. 10,000 years ago, the first agricultural revolution basically gave parents the certainty that they could feed their children. And 500 years ago, Gutenberg's printing press gave people control over their education and income. And 30 years ago, the World Wide Web connected us in a new and profound way. But what comes next is bigger than all those things. And all you need is the voice that you already have. Voice is the easiest way to create and monetize content at scale. Your productivity will skyrocket, and as you get things done, because you'll be doing it at the speed of speech. Voice technology as your new operating system gives you and every other human greater control over your own destiny. So I'd ask you to visit attn.live right now so you can create your own connected and abundant future. That is my call.
Rachel,
to you and
thank
anyone
you
willing
so
to
much for
listen.
joining us. Rachel is not on the schedule.
Voice, as an operating system, is a big deal. So I hope you enjoy this interview. This is my very last interview at my very first event, the Future of Technology, which was done inside Runways Incubator, inside of Twitter's headquarters, November 28th, 2017. I sure have learned a lot since that moment. I hope you enjoy this, and I'll see you at the next event. Or hopefully, I'll be hearing from you as you enjoy using the attn.live Attention Live product.
Rachel, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Rachel is not on the schedule because she just got added last night. When I found out that Rachel could come, I was like, wow, really? You could come all the way from around the world, right? You're from Bristol, UK. Bristol, UK was just named the #1 smart city in all of UK. It just surpassed London. That's right. Just excitement for UK. And specifically for Bristol, the city that you're in. And my wife and I, we've spent time, my wife's a musician, so we've toured around the world doing her music, and we spent time in Bristol, and so I'm familiar with the city. But you, when I met you recently, I go, you might have the best reputation of anybody in kind of our network. I'm like, I don't know if you've ever done anything wrong. It's like everybody just constantly talks about this world-changing thing, this incredible thing that you're doing, how you're making a difference. And so when I found out you were coming, I thought, oh man, like I got to make room. I'll move people aside. I'll shorten up time. Just to give you a chance, to give you a stage to inspire everybody here.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Could you introduce yourself briefly?
Yeah.
Who you are, what you do, and then we'll kind of dive into your thought on the future of technology and how it affects cities like San Francisco.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. So my name's Rachel Milano. As Ian said, I'm from the UK, and I am an advisor to the Mayor of Bristol. So I will give you a little bit of context about Bristol, as I assume most people here are from America or around the world watching are Americans. So we are a city of around 500,000 people. We were recently voted the kindest city to live in the UK and the best city to live in the UK. And of course, we overtook London as the leading smart city in the UK. We have 2 universities. One of our universities frequently is in the top 10 universities in the country. We maintain and keep most of our graduates, which is really unheard of as a city. And we have tons of tech startups in our city. And we want to be the Silicon Valley of Europe. And we are actually considered by many to already be that. And we're well on the way to doing that. So yeah, there's a little bit about us. And I'm here on behalf of the mayor. He's given me permission to represent him here. So I'm just, by the end of today, and by the end of my 10 minutes, you're all going to want to move to Bristol, let me tell you. Yeah.
Can you tell us a bit about the mayor? I mean, to be the mayor's advisor, like that's a significant decision with your life. Like, I'm going to spend my time serving this politician. I believe in his mission. Can you just talk a bit about who he is, his character, why you're behind him? Like, I just want you to just make a big noise about how amazing he is. Because again, he's another man that just has this awesome reputation. The more I hear about him, the more I want to meet him myself.
Yeah, Google him. He's probably going to be the next prime minister in maybe, well, not the next, maybe in 8 years. We'll give him some time. His name is Marvin Rees. He came from a really poor family. He is from African descent. from slaves, actually, I think, and originally, and we're a city that was built on slavery. So it's super ironic that he was the first European African descent mayor to be elected ever of a European city, and we are a city that made its money on slavery back in the day. So it's a real story full of redemption, but he was brought up by a single mother. He was brought up in women's refuges around the city, super humble guy. I helped him run his campaign. We were the underdogs. We weren't supposed to win. I know we're streaming, so I'm just going to be careful what I say, but we ran a very clean campaign in the face of a very dirty opposition. And he was he is a man of real integrity and decided to run a very clean campaign. And that was something that was the core of our campaign, and we won by a landslide. And we have had a very inclusive, part of our thing is real inclusivity in the city, that we want to involve everyone in what we're doing. So, you know, the issue of tech, we just don't want to see anyone left behind in the city. So that's kind of one of the things that I want to talk about, actually.
Yeah. Well, why don't we do this? If you're the #1 smart city in UK, I would assume that you have the greatest chance for failure, falling flat on your face, and having technology basically bite you. You also have the greatest chance for success because you're already ahead of the curve. Can you just talk about, like, as you project 8 years from now, let's say you're going to have some new prime minister, 8 years from now, start to project 8 years. What is the worst possible thing that technology could do to actually be destructive in your city and in your country? And what's the best possible thing? Like, just paint like the two pictures of what could happen for city transformation based on technology's influence.
Well, I am a hopeless optimist. So I'm a millennial, and I refuse to be sucked into the pessimistic system of politics. So as an advisor, I'm always trying to push an optimistic position. So I don't want to spend too long on the pessimistic, because I have some really cool optimistic stuff that I want to talk about. But I guess the dystopian view is particularly around the area of the loss of jobs, right? So we know that, and we've heard people talk about this before, that the tech industry is accelerating at a massive rate. We commissioned a report recently that in the UK that found out that 748,000 jobs are going to be required of people with digital skills in the very near future. We don't have that currently like this. We don't have that right now. So we need to start training those people, and we need to start training them now. Also, we need to start getting people from specific sectors. So we don't want a city that is siloed, where we have a tech area. Okay, so this side of the city is where the tech people are. This side of the city is where the refugees are. This side of the city is where the black people live. This is where the rich people live. You know, this is where the construction workers live. Oh no, actually construction industry is now dead. So, you know, this side of the city is now in poverty, and all the rich tech people. We don't want that. So we've got to find a way where we can integrate everyone and start thinking outside of the box to training people in these new skills and getting people integrated. So that's worst case scenario, I think. I mean, there's a million worst case scenarios that we're planning for, because we're seeing this. We've seen this coming down the road for a long time, so we're not naive to it. But I only have 10 minutes, so I don't want to waste it on talking about the worst case scenarios.
Go for it.
So let's go for the
Cast a vision. What can a city do? What's San Francisco be doing? What is Bristol doing?
Okay. One of the things that we are doing is we have a project that we're running right now called Bristol is Open. And basically, it is like it sounds. We are open. We're open for business. So as a leading smart city, we have something going on right now, which is a partnership between Bristol City Council and Bristol University. So Bristol University is at the forefront of tech. Bristol University hosts Bristol Robotics Laboratory, which is the leading robotics center for robotics research for the UK. So we're at the forefront of tech anyway for the UK, right? So Bristol is Open is this partnership which has resulted in smart city R&D communication technology, which is made available all around the city. So we're laying fiber all around the city, fibers all around the city, and we're integrating different different wireless technologies on trying to integrate them on one, one mesh net?
Yeah.
Is that the word? And so we're trying to take it to a new level all around the city to create a connectivity. And then we are inviting in startups and other companies to come in and trial their technology in a real live sort of environment. So we're saying, hey, don't just trial your technology in a lab, come and trial it in a real life city. So we're saying, like, Bristol is open, so we want you to come and innovate with us in our city. So this is one way that we're doing this, and we're saying even better, if you want to start creating, if you want to come and you want to start having accelerator programs, training programs, but you want to start partnering with kids from inner city areas, we want you to come start doing that, and we will make a way for that to happen in our city. So I know I don't have much time left, but I have some other cool things that we're doing. So housing.
Take advantage of the last bit of time and just wrap it up. And if you want to have a call to action, some people are streaming probably from the UK.
Yeah.
How do they get involved? Some people here, they might be looking to say, hey, I'm ready to leave San Francisco. I'm just passing through. Like, Bristol sounds exciting.
Yeah.
Like, invite us to get involved. Invite them to get involved. Like, capitalize on this last moment.
I will, don't you worry. Got my pitch all set. So housing is something that we as a city have a real issue with. So we've started thinking outside of the box. So we're creating modular housing, and we've got prefab technology. We are partnering with a robotics company in the city that creates robotic furniture. So, you know, you press a button and it turns into like a bedroom. You press another button, it turns into like a living room. You press another button, it turns into a kitchen. We've found we have found a company that works with ex-offenders, and we're saying, why don't we give you the contract, and you then basically you take the contract for that, so it works for you, for the ex-offenders. So we're keeping you from reoffending. You're now learning a new skill. You're building houses for everybody. Like, it basically is just working for the whole economy. What if we start teaching women coming out of trafficking to code once they've come out? What if we start re-envisioning society so that everybody is winning? What if we start thinking outside of the box? The digital revolution has happened, but the issue now is, what are we building towards? And how are we as society and as city leaders actually building? Yeah. So I have more I could say, but what I want to say to you is next year, Bristol is hosting something called the Global Parliament of Mayors. And it's going to be, it's 80 to 100 mayors from around the world coming to Bristol. We're hosting a 2.5-day conference. It's leading mayors, okay, from leading cities around the world. We're talking Mayor of LA, last year it was Mayor of Melbourne, Mayor of Kuala Lumpur, mayors of leading cities around the world. As the tech sector, so as Silicon Valley, if I could invite you on behalf of the mayor to come and sit down in front of 80 to 100 of the world's leading mayors, what would you say to them? What could we not do to change the world if we took the tech sector and we took 100 of the world's leading mayors and we collaborated together and we started thinking innovatively outside of the box? By the way, did you know that every week 1 million people are moving to cities more than the week before, which means that by the year 2050, 2/3 of the world's planet will be living in cities. So we can't ignore this. So 21st to the 23rd of October next year, hundreds of the world's leading mayors hopefully will be in Bristol. Hopefully we'll get 100 of them. Come, be part of it, connect with us.
Thank you. Can you thank Rachel for coming out here from around the world?